Chapter 683. This was a great Tao remnant star. It originally belonged to a complete ancient life star, but it had been broken in the distant past. The layout inside was extremely shocking, but it was a pity that this star had been broken by something unknown. Even though it wasn't worth much, it was still a land of treasures, especially since there was an ancient killing array on the great Tao remnant star that blocked the powerful universe masters who were chasing after them. Although there were only 3 great beings, their strength far surpassed Xiaoze's group. If they hadn't been fully prepared before leaving Earth and brought along many treasures, they would have faced death along the way. Hee, let's see how long you can hold on. The sky was filled with dark torrents, enough to cover the entire great Tao remnant star. Huge dark waves surged layer after layer, covering the sky and covering the earth as they rushed toward the ancient remnant array. This ancient remnant array was extremely powerful. It belonged to this ancient life star. Although it was broken, it still blocked them. However, Su Bingshuang and the others had held on for a long time. They were all about to run out of oil. A bunch of ants destroyed so many treasures. Even if you die 10,000 times, it won't be enough. Their words were ferocious and violent. To be honest, when they saw this ancient remnant star, they were especially excited. However, Su Bingshuang and the others had landed first, and among them, there was an array master who activated this ancient remnant array. Just like that, Xiaoze and the others relied on the ancient remnant array to hold on for half a year. They also gained a lot because they found some precious universe treasures in the ancient remnant array, which allowed their strength to soar. Even for these universal treasures, these universe hunters could only stare helplessly at them, unable to obtain them. These universal treasures had a lot of limited resources, and if there was a need for them, these treasures would have very powerful effects and would be of great help to them. But now they had all been eaten by them. It was a complete waste for a law phase realm to refine these resources. Their hearts were filled with boundless anger. Even if they explored the universe for hundreds of years, their gains were not as great as theirs. It was because of these treasures that Xiaoze and the others' strength soared. Otherwise, how could they have held on for half a year? But in these few days, one after another, tenacious warriors fell to the ground. They were exhausted and fell into the endless darkness. If they couldn't get replenishment, they would all die. These were more than half of the top experts of the Huaxia Alliance. Their bones were buried in the universe. This would be a heavy blow to the Huaxia Alliance. Xiaoze roared at the sky, his heart filled with pain and fury. He had brought more than 50 Transcendence Realm experts from Earth, and more than a dozen had died on the way. Although they were all top experts now, what was the use? Xiaoze's heart was pained. He was the one who had brought them here, but he couldn't bring them away safely. He felt very guilty towards them and towards the Alliance. As the Dean of Huaxia University, he was even more worried about the Alliance. Now, they were still bitterly holding on, driving the little life force in their bodies to ensure that the ancient remnant formation could operate and stop these 3 godlike experts. In truth, they were still hoping for a miracle. From the end of the earth until now, I have always been prepared to die, but now I want to go home. Say goodbye to your wife and children. Fan Hong's eyes were red, but they couldn't go back. The doomsday waiting for them was coming soon. Since I made the decision back then, I have never regretted it. I only hope that the Huaxia Alliance can become stronger in the future. In the future, we can also let the experts of the clan go to the universe to take a look. Someone sighed. This was a long story. When they left Earth to explore the universe, they found out that an expedition team had come to the solar system. This was a highly dangerous event that threatened Earth. They couldn't help but recall the alien invasion more than a decade ago. At that time, they could only decide to lead them away, as far away from Earth as possible. Just like that, they came here and felt that they were far enough from Earth. They were already prepared to die, and they didn't want to leave any clues for them before they died. But now, Su Bingshuang's words silenced them. Su Yin had left Earth more than 10 years ago. They really didn't know where Su Yin was now. Or it could be said that if he wanted to return to Earth, it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven. Even Su Bingshuang didn't have much hope. Maybe this was the final radiance of the setting sun, but she was a little confused. The scene that suddenly flashed in front of her eyes, she felt that it was really Su Yin looking at her, as if he really saw her in danger. "Brother, are you okay?" Su Bingshuang looked up at the starry sky, her beautiful and pale face looking up. She said, "I miss you so much. Why aren't you back yet?" Xia Zhe and the other sighed. More than a decade ago, their cultivation was almost the same. Even if Su Yin and the martial god returned, it would be useless. This group of people was too strong, making them suffocate and tremble. Now, the ancient array was on the verge of collapse and was about to be torn apart by them. When the day came, they would all face the same ending. "Found it!" The blurry scene in front of Su Yin shattered, and he shouted, "Quick! I found their traces and roughly sensed their specific range. Set off immediately, their situation seems to be very bad." Although the scene that Su Yin saw was blurry, he could imagine the danger that Xia Zhe and the others were in. If they didn't arrive in time, the consequences would be serious. "Watch me." Bao Kai let out a low roar and took out a boundary-breaking talisman. Su Yan's location was very far away from them, so they had to use the boundary-breaking talisman. Of course, they would also face the danger of breaking away from the boundary-breaking talisman's defense halfway. With the broken cauldron in hand, they didn't need to fear this unknown danger. The boundary-breaking talisman opened a dark space-time crack, and they escaped into the broken cauldron. They escaped into the crack and began to cross a very far distance. During the process, he could only pray that it was not too late. After all, they couldn't control the boundary-breaking talisman. They could only use it to cross a vast star field and cross the starry sky to search for their traces. An entire day passed, and more cultivators fell. More and more people couldn't hold on and fell in the darkness. Although some of the young experts looked very old, this was the embodiment of a lamp that had run out of oil. Boom! The darkness that surged towards the ancient array trembled violently, and the scene was turbulent. Thousands of black waves swept over, because the ancient array was trembling, and the light emitted by the entire array was rapidly dimming. It was as if the darkness had covered the earth and swallowed the lights of tens of thousands of homes. It was about to be completely swallowed by the last ray of light. The ancient array was already very dim. If it wasn't for this array being so strong and being in its peak state, they wouldn't have been able to hold on for half a year. How much longer can you all hold on? The three great experts released cold laughter. They were like gods and devils standing in the darkness. Their sinister eyes scanned a few people who were still holding on, and then they said coldly, "If I were you all, I would directly kneel on the ground and die a bit more easily." Damn it! Fan Hong and the others were incomparably furious, but they only felt powerless inside. This type of waiting for death was truly unpleasant. They already gave up a bit, only wishing to delay them a bit longer. It was because they still hoped that a miracle would truly happen. This night was extremely difficult for them. Powerful warriors fell one after another, fainting one after another. If they didn't receive timely support, then they would never be able to wake up again. In the end, they made it through the night. When a new day arrived, another group fell. Right now, there were only 3 people bitterly holding on. Xia Zhe, Su Bingshuang, Yu Yiling. Yu Yiling was admittedly a rising star. However, her progress was extremely fast. Back then, she could even stand on equal footing with Zhu Yan's disciple Jiang Wuan. The current Yu Yiling was extremely formidable. However, no matter how strong the 3 of them were, they couldn't hold on for too long. The ancient remnant formation was already in imminent danger. The endless source of energy was about to devour them. Jija. The 3 great experts laughed sinisterly. Their eyes scanned Yu Yiling and Su Bingshuang. Without a doubt, these 2 had always been the focus of their attention. Their hearts were filled with greed, staring at these 2 absolute beauties until their hairs stood on end. Leave them behind. These 2 top-quality goods, if we package them well, We can sell them for a high price. I still remember very clearly. Back then, we captured an absolute beauty alive and packaged her as the #1 female war god of that aboriginal planet. In the end, the experts who participated in the auction of the female slaves crazily shouted out the price. This allowed me to make a huge profit. Haha, these two absolute beauties can definitely be sold for a good price. It can make up for some of our losses. They were conversing and discussing. Their words were unrestrained, causing Yu Yiling to sink into fear. She didn't dare to believe the future. If they were captured and taken away, or even thrown into an auction to be sold as goods, their fate could be imagined. Xiaoze's eyes flashed with a cold light. If they fell one after the other, then Xiaoze would kill them all. Firstly, to protect the secrets of Earth. Secondly, if they were women alive, their fate in the future would really be better than death. This day was even slower for them. When it was almost nighttime, Yu Yiling could no longer hold on. Su Bingshuang was also not much better. Xiaoze was even skinnier than before. Boom! When the three of them saw this scene, the divine energy in their bodies suddenly erupted. A series of black waves swept over, causing the ancient remnant formation to flicker. The remnant formation that was attacked by the various energy sources was about to explode. Xiaoze let out a roar. He was like an injured beast. He wanted to kill everyone and finally self-destruct. You dare. Stop for me. I can let you live. The three great experts saw through Xiaoze's intentions. They were so angry that they almost exploded. If this group of people died, then they wouldn't be able to obtain anything. It would be equivalent to wasting their efforts. This was an ending that they didn't want to see. Under their rage, a crack appeared on the ancient remnant formation. They took the initiative to suppress Su Bingshuang. They did their best to stop Xiaoze's crazy actions and recover their losses. Brother. In Su Bingshuang's despair, she could faintly see that at the end of the starry sky, a shadow rushed out and began to approach them. She felt that this was an illusion. It wasn't too real, but that person rushing over was too real. When a loud roar exploded, Xiaoze's entire body stiffened. The killing sword that he was waving trembled and abruptly stopped at Yu Yiling's neck. You all are tired of living. You dare to touch my Su Yan's little sister. Chapter 684. The black tide trembled violently, and the sound reverberated through the starry sky, spreading here. It was ear-splitting, causing the darkness to disperse greatly. The faces of the three experts who were rushing towards the broken formation changed slightly. How could there be other life traces here? One must know that they had paid a huge price and even experienced indescribable dangers before finally arriving here. There shouldn't be other life forms here. However, they could sense that the person who came was extremely powerful. This made the three experts' faces turn gloomy. Their army's commander wasn't here, and the vice commander wasn't here either. This was going to be troublesome. For the face of our dark mercenary group, if he wasn't a native Humph, he wouldn't dare to make an enemy out of us. However, they weren't nervous at all. The dark mercenary group had a fierce reputation in the universe. Their commander was the Divine King, and they belonged to the Universe Exploration Group. After all, their commander was the Divine King. Even the strong races in the universe would take a detour when they saw the dark mercenary group. However, some of them were at a loss. Su Yan's name sounded very familiar. Brother, it's really you. Su Bingshuang's expression was out of control. She was so excited that her entire body was trembling. This was definitely not the final radiance of the setting sun. This was a real voice. The scene before was also not an illusion, but the real Su Yan. He was already searching for their traces. Su Yan, it's Su Yan. The killing sword in Xiaoze's hand was trembling. He sucked in a breath of cold air and roared, "This is too damn timely." Xiaoze's voice was excited, and he laughed excitedly. It's Su Yan. It's really him. It's really him. Xiaoze finally roared. In a desperate situation, there was nothing more exciting than seeing hope. He let out a series of roars. They were saved. Even if Su Yan couldn't stop them, They still had time to deal with the dark mercenary group. Su Yin is here. Ling recovered a bit of her will. Her exhausted body surged with vitality. She almost shed tears. Just now, she was about to die. Xiaoze's killing sword was about to cut her down, saving her from humiliation. At this critical moment, Su Yin still came in the end. What? What are they talking about? Su Yin? The person who came is called Su Yin. Don't you think this name is very familiar? In the darkness, the three godlike existences were discussing. Originally, they weren't afraid of the incoming experts. They believed that as long as they revealed the name of the dark mercenary group, it would be enough to scare Su Yin away. However, when she thought about the name Su Yin carefully, she felt that it was too late. Their hearts couldn't help but tremble. At first, they felt that the name was too familiar, but the more they thought about it, the more shocked they became. They suddenly remembered Madman Su, who had started a massacre in the divine spiritual mountain range. He was a rising star of the buried region. He was also called Su Yin. But here, in a place so far away from the godly spirit mountain range, they heard this name. These people couldn't help but feel a trace of fear in their hearts. Who didn't know that Su Yin even dared to kill the son of a supreme expert? This person was too ferocious and could definitely be called a supreme expert among the younger generation. If it's not him, why are you panicking? How could Su Yin come here? It's impossible even if you use your brain to think about it. There was a red-haired man who was still calm. His name was Ayuz. He knew how difficult it was to break into this place. Why would Su Yin come here for no reason? The other two experts also quickly calmed down. After all, Su Yin's might was too great. Who didn't know about the incident in the divine spiritual mountain range? That's right. It must be someone with the same name. But I was really shocked just now. If that madman really came, we won't be enough for him to kill. There were many cultivators with the same name in the cultivation world. There was definitely more than one Su Yin in this world. Moreover, how could Su Yin come here? This place was very far away from the center of the universe's cultivation world. Let's do it. Let's suppress this woman first. Ayuz was very vigilant. He often went on adventures in the universe and experienced many life and death situations. Those who could survive until now were all ruthless scum. It was obvious what would benefit them the most. Even if the person who came was very powerful, if they could suppress his sister, they would have one half of the battle. Perhaps they could make Su Yin hesitate to attack. That's right. Let's suppress them first. Even if we don't see anything wrong, we can still leave. The three experts attacked in anger. Now that the ancient array was on the verge of collapse, they didn't want it to be destroyed. They attacked along the cracks and wanted to capture Su Bingshuang and the rest first. Boom! However, an abnormally terrifying aura came from a distant time and space at lightning speed. The three experts were horrified. They felt that the expert who rushed here had become very terrifying. They had a feeling that they were facing a god. Could it be that a god with heavenly cultivation had come? Roar! The first to explode was a beastly roar. The roar of a Baokai had already reached them. The sound waves rolled with great momentum. Only God knew how far away it was, but it was still bright and intimidating. The three experts felt their scalps explode. Their eyes flashed with a trace of shock. In the depths of the distant starry sky, a fluctuation that made them feel suffocated was surging over. It was a person rushing over. Su Yan's aura was fully unleashed. The sky was filled with golden waves that swept across the sky. The starry sky was affected. It was like a cosmic furnace was burning. The gushing aura broke through the starry sky, causing many stars to shake involuntarily. Su Yin, Xiaoze let out a shocked and incredulous voice. Was the person in front of them still the Su Yin of the past? He was even more terrifying than the gods and devils in their imagination. He was like an immortal god who stepped on the starry sky and roared. Su Yin appeared in an absolutely shocking manner. His hair danced in the wind, and his eyes were like lightning that tore through all darkness. This starry sky trembled because of Su Yan's existence. The essence blood in his body surged. Everything was suppressed by the aura in Su Yan's body. When Su Yin crossed the starry sky, his speed was extremely fast. It was as if a golden bolt of lightning had broken through the sky and was sweeping over with supreme power. Lunatic Sue, it's him. It's really him. The three experts' eyes were about to split open. A trace of fear flashed past their eyes. Lunatic Sue had gone on a killing spree in the divine, spiritual mountain range. He was a terrifying leader who could even kill the son of a mighty figure. How could the darkness mercenary groups named suppress Lunatic Sue? Moreover, with Su Yan's battle prowess, how many great Dao realm experts could stop him? Back then, Su Yan couldn't even stop a mighty figure. Instead, he had escaped. But now, he had miraculously appeared here. Xiaozhe felt that his eyes were playing tricks on him. What was he seeing? Aou and the other two experts were uneasy. Their faces were pale with fright. It was as if they had seen an overlord patrolling the heavens. They trembled and wanted to submit to Su Yan. My God, what am I seeing? The three great experts of the universe are actually trembling in front of Su Yan. What on earth has Su Yan done all these years? How can he have such a powerful, ferocious aura? Xiaozhe was extremely shocked. Perhaps the current Su Yan was a famous young expert in the universe. Even these three great masters of the universe couldn't help but tremble when they saw Su Yan. They were scared stiff. Back then, there was a saying in the divine spiritual mountain range that one would rather provoke a powerful race than provoke Lunatic Sue. The number of great masters of the universe that he had killed was extremely difficult to count. How can this be? How can it be him? How can Lunatic Sue be here? How can something so ridiculous happen? The three great masters of the universe looked as if they had eaten a pile of **T. They lost control and roared. Their faces were as ugly as they could be. Since Su Yan had escaped from the divine spiritual mountain range until now, they had no idea what had happened. But why was Su Yan there? **CK, you guys are so hard to find. You made me run around for months. Look at how skinny I am. The skinny and starving Tai Baokai started to roar from afar. **CK, what are you looking at? So it's just you three little bastards. Kneel in a row for me. All of you. The Tai Baotsai's voice echoed in space. This was too cruel. Xiaozhe was stunned. Kneel in a row? Come up and scold him? This must be the divine king. His tone was too arrogant, wasn't it? Tai Baotsai's personality was still the same as before. Xiaozhe didn't know what to say. Su Bingshuang was a bit dazed. This panda had really become a spirit. His power had become so strong and overpowered. You gone too far. The three great masters of the universe looked up to the sky and roared. Their eyes were red, and they were so angry that they were about to cough up blood. Even if it was Su Yan, the dark mercenary group had the divine king. But Baotsai's tone was too arrogant. They even recognized Tai Baokai. They knew the demon area had put a bounty on Tai Baokai. Whether it was Su Yan or Tai Baokai, to the universe's adventure group, they knew a lot about them. Su Yan was someone the Elder Hall had to kill, and Baokai was a creature the entire demon area wanted to kill. Those two young elites were the eyesores of the pinnacle races. Now, they were together, and they were scolding them. How could they bear it? They were so depressed that they were about to cough up blood. Do it, Aou ordered with lightning speed. They burst out with an even stronger aura. One of them even rushed towards the crack of the killing array to suppress Su Bingshuang. You're courting death. A cold voice resounded. It had a penetrating power, and the elite rushing towards Su Bingshuang had goosebumps all over his body. That was an abnormally powerful force that attacked indiscriminately. It rushed towards him like lightning, causing him to let out a cry of despair. This was the power of the Fist of Time. It was unstoppable, and it landed solidly on his head. The expert howled in pain. His entire head was torn apart. His palm did not even manage to touch Su Bingshuang. In front of Su Bingshuang's eyes, his head was torn apart, completely rotten, and blood flowed all over the ground. Xiaozhe was shocked. Such a powerful existence was killed by Su Yan with a single punch. He didn't even get to appear. Moreover, Su Yan was still moving forward, but he had already arrived in front of them. His body emitted a terrifying light that illuminated the starry sky. Su Yan, I'm the Dark Mercenary, Another elite hurriedly stood out, wanting to use the name of the dark mercenary group to suppress Su Yin. However, he realized how laughable it was to use the name. Even the son of a supreme being, Su Yin, dared to kill him, let alone a mercenary group formed by the Divine King. Whether this Divine King of the mercenary group dared to openly target Su Yin was still a question. Didn't you hear what I said just now? Get lost. Su Yan's large hand slammed down, shattering his battle body into pieces. In the domain of the great Tao realm, Su Yin was not afraid of anyone. Even if a supreme being were to come, with his supreme spiritual will, he would be able to tear him into pieces. Great War God Su Yin, that was just a small accident. Chapter 685. Mother of asterisk her. Xiaoze's mouth twitched, and his body stiffened. What did he just see? The dark mercenary group experts who chased them to the ends of the earth, and even Xiaoze and the rest could only rely on the ancient remnant formation to survive. However, two of these three experts, who were like gods and devils in their eyes, were killed by Su Yin, and the last one, Oz, was actually kneeling at Su Yan's feet, trembling and calling out the great god of war Su Yin. This scene overturned Xiaoze's thoughts, and he was dumbfounded. He really didn't know what to say, and his heart was filled with shock. Su Bingshuang, who was extremely weak, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What was this? They were all prepared to die together, but now, Oz was kneeling in front of Su Yin, trembling. Was this still the god and devil in their eyes? Why did they feel that they were as insignificant as ants in front of Su Yin? You little bastard, what were you doing earlier? Bao Kai said arrogantly, looking askance at Oz. It wasn't that it looked down on Oz, but this kind of trash wasn't even worth mentioning in front of them. Back in the Divine Mountain Range, Su Yin stood at the Quasi-Dao realm and killed a large number of universe masters like this. This is just an accident. Oz trembled, and his face was filled with fear. He seemed to be anxious as he knelt there, kowtowing and begging Su Yin to forgive his sins. It's good that you're all fine. Su Yin had already crossed over. He looked at the experts of the Huaxiao Alliance lying on the ground in the ancient remnant formation. Many of them were familiar faces. Although they were unconscious and their divine power had dried up, they could recover. Su Yin finally heaved a sigh of relief. They were all fine. Although the losses were great, they were still alive. Bingshuang. Su Yan's gaze quickly gathered on Su Bingshuang, and his voice trembled. Looking at Su Bingshuang's current state, Su Yin couldn't help but be excited. He laughed loudly, and his heart was still beating fast. Fortunately, he came in time, or the consequences would be unimaginable. Brother, be careful! Su Bingshuang screamed fiercely. She didn't know where her weak body got the strength to stand up. That was because a shadow appeared behind Su Yin. It was Aulus, who was kneeling on the ground to worship Su Yin. He was as sinister as a devil. He crawled up and took out a blood-colored sword embryo, slashing it at Su Yan's back. Die! Aeodus let out a hysterical roar and unleashed his strongest power. The blood-red sword embryo he summoned was extremely dazzling, like a peerless killing sword that could split the heavens. Its sharpness was bone-piercing. This was a secret treasure refined by a heavenly deity, extremely terrifying. To put it bluntly, if this sword was used accurately, it could even kill a deity. From the moment he saw Su Yin, Oz felt that this was an opportunity, a great opportunity that could change his life. He had knelt on the ground just now to make Su Yin ignore him and look down on him, thinking that he was a coward. Oz was also very clear that Su Yan's combat strength was extremely strong. Even if he launched a sneak attack, he wouldn't be a match for Su Yin at all. The killing sword he summoned was a forbidden treasure that was equivalent to his entire wealth. He decisively summoned it. He was very clear that as long as he could kill Su Yin, he would obtain endless wealth. The Ancestral Hall had spent a total of 3 Divine King weapons to place a bounty on Su Yin. As long as he could kill Su Yin, why would he take the risk? What awaited him was endless glory and wealth. Just the huge wealth on Su Yin was enough for him to take the risk. Die! The blood-red sword embryo slashed through the void and sliced Su Yin in half. This sword was too sharp. Aus, who had been adventuring in the universe all year round, was cruel and decisive. When he sliced Su Yin in half, his heart was filled with ecstasy and madness. He knew that killing Su Yin would give him everything. Brother, Su Yin! Xiaozhe and Su Bingshuang roared furiously. They didn't dare to imagine the scene in front of them. Su Yin would be killed by Aus, who was kneeling on the ground and kowtowing to him. He might even be sliced in half. This scene made their minds collapse, especially when Su Bingshuang screamed continuously. However, at the next moment, the entire great Tao remnant star faintly rumbled as if it was about to be crushed by a force that descended from the sky. No, Aus came back to his senses in ecstasy. When he looked up and saw the Cold War god descending from the sky, he had goosebumps all over his body. How could Su Yan, who had been sliced in half, descend from the sky? Bao Kai sneered. Aus was insidious, but Su Yan's life and death experiences were many times crueler than Aus. Did Ao, you really think he could kill Su Yan with his cultivation? That was just a fool's dream. Moreover, Su Yan had even killed a heavenly god before. Su Yan really didn't care about a heavenly god killer weapon. Boom! Heaven and earth were filled with raging flames. Su Yan descended from the sky, and the aura he emitted made Aus tremble. He didn't even have the strength to swing the blood-red sword embryo at Su Yan because his entire body was sealed. Impossible! Aus screamed in despair. How could Su Yan be so strong? Although he had killed the son of a powerful being, he wasn't strong enough to evade a deity. Su Yan stomped on his head, and his body was torn apart. Su Yan's strength wasn't something Aus could withstand. He screamed in despair, "Spare me, spare me. I'm willing to be a slave for the rest of my life. Don't kill me, don't kill me." The powerful Aus wanted to be Su Yan's slave. Xiaozhe took a deep breath. So what if Aus was a god? As long as one had absolute strength, they could destroy a god and make him submit under Su Yan's feet. Su Yan didn't seem to hear him. He was cold and domineering, and his strength was about to crush Aus. Su Yan, my dark mercenary group, has the Divine King. With the Divine King, he won't let you go. Aus let out a ferocious roar, and his body exploded into a mist of blood that fell on the great Tao remnant star and dyed the ground red. 3 universe masters had died one after another, and the place was filled with a murderous aura. Su Yan's eyes were like lightning as he stood on the bloody ground and walked toward the ancient remnant array. "Brother," Su Bingshuang shouted excitedly and rushed over like a child. To Su Bingshuang, Su Yan was her only family, and he was also her brother who had grown up with her. One could imagine how close they were. "Haha, I'm late." Su Yan laughed, and his messy hair fluttered in the wind. He looked handsome. He hugged Su Bingshuang and laughed excitedly. "It's been more than 10 years, and I'm finally back." Ha ha ha. Su Yan's laughter echoed between heaven and earth. During these years in the outer domain, he often missed Su Bingshuang, who was his only sister. Today, they met again, and he couldn't help but feel that it was too difficult to meet. Across the vast universe, it wasn't something that could be returned with just a few words. "You're not late," Su Bingshuang cried tears of joy. She raised her beautiful face and smiled happily. Her eyes were teary. More than 10 years had passed. Although it was only a blink of an eye, it contained too much longing and sadness. "Sleep." Su Yan looked at Su Bingshuang, who was smiling as she gradually fell into a deep sleep. Su Yan felt a chill in his heart. They were all exhausted, like a lamp that had run out of oil. Xiaozhe and the others had been holding on, and their willpower had long reached its limit. Now that Su Bingshuang was asleep, she hugged Su Yan tightly. "Warlord Xiaozhe, are you okay?" Su Yan looked around and saw Xiaozhe's weak and old appearance. He laughed and said, "They're all asleep, and they're fine. You don't have to worry." Hearing this, Xiaozhe smiled bitterly and said, "I'm fine, I won't die. You don't have to call me Warlord." After witnessing the power of the universe's overlords and Su Yan's battle power, he really felt that Earth's warlord was as weak as an ant in their eyes. Now, he felt that this title was really laughable. It's good that you're all fine. Su Yin looked at everyone who was sleeping. When he saw Lin Wanlan, he was surprised. He didn't expect Lin Wanlan to come along. After all, Lin Wanlan was proficient in alchemy and was Lu Chengtian's chief disciple. If Xia Zhe and the others brought Lin Wanlan along, they would have an alchemist to treat their injuries in time. Su Yin waved his sleeves and gathered everyone together. There were a total of 37 top experts of the Huaxia Alliance. In this life and death chase, these 2 years were equivalent to cruel training for them. Su Yin took out a lot of precious liquid and passed it through their bodies to help them recover. He felt that these people's potential had been stimulated, and their future achievements would be very high. Awesome! Awesome! Xia Zhe excitedly bathed in the various precious liquids that Su Yin took out. He gulped them down, and his withered body was nourished. Soon, he recovered his vigorous blood essence. The things that Su Yin took out were no small matter. They were of great help to their losses. There's treasure below. The treasures were like a gust of wind, wandering around and searching the entire Great Tao Broken Star. In the end, it still returned to the broken ancient formation. With its sharp Yuan Shun power, it sensed that there were treasures hidden underground. Xia Zhe's eyes widened. There was something below. Chi. The purple gourd hanging on Bao Kai's neck shone brightly, spewing out all kinds of chaotic sword lights, splitting open layers of the earth. Just as he was about to dig out the treasures below, the rich and boundless life essence rolled out in waves. F*CK. Xia Zhe's face darkened. It was very scary. They held on bitterly and used up all their resources. To put it bluntly, they even ate all the tree barks. They even ate grass and almost ate people. But they didn't realize that there were treasures hidden under their feet. There was even such a vigorous source of life. At this moment, Xia Zhe felt like dying. What the hell was this? An ancient treasure? A strange light flashed in Su Yan's eyes. This Great Path Remnant star used to be extraordinary because he felt an unusually large amount of life force emerging from it. This kind of energy resource was considered a rare cultivation place in the prosperous cultivation world. Chapter 686. Just as Bao Kai was about to rush down, he realized that there was an ancient formation below. It had been in operation for an unknown number of years, and it still had a strong power. This array has been running for an unimaginable amount of time. Su Yin opened his golden heavenly eye to observe. This array was relatively ancient and powerful, but Su Yin soon recognized that it was an ancient array used to protect a mountain gate. He calculated with the secret skill of the Chiman sect and clicked his tongue in amazement. This array is very powerful. Even a heavenly god might not be able to tear it apart. The Bao Kai was anxious. It stamped its feet and said, "Powerful my ass. How are we going to get in? How are we going to break such a powerful array? Let me finish first." Su Yin was not in a hurry. He wandered around and observed the array. He found that the space below was huge, like an ancient space. He smiled and said, "The array is indeed powerful, but after so many years, its power has been greatly reduced. There's not much energy left. If we want to break it, we just need to spend some effort." Roar! The Bao Kai laughed excitedly. It had overturned the entire Great Path Broken Star, so it could confirm that this area should be the core area of the Great Path Broken Star. In other words, if this ancient life planet was prosperous, this place would be like the Alcade Palace of the Alcade planet. Don't underestimate the resources of an ancient life planet. After so many years, it must be extremely powerful. Although it didn't know how this ancient life planet was broken, the treasures inside should be the resource spaces left behind by the dangers here. No one had come here for so long, so it must be ownerless. Boom! The Bao Kai was busy breaking the array. According to Su Yan's instructions, it kept using the power of the purple gourd to tear the array. Su Yan estimated that it would take at least half a day. After all, this underground world was extraordinarily huge. What's that sound? Is there thunder? Am I not dead yet? Why am I still alive? I even recovered a lot of strength. Did Xia Zhe and the others find the remaining treasures again? People began to wake up one after another. They were all shaken up by the commotion caused by the Baokai. These people had experienced life and death, and their eyes looked very confused. But when someone asked if Xiaze had found the treasures left behind by the great Dao Remit star, Xiaze really wanted to cry. Originally, they could definitely continue persevering and even gain a huge harvest. However, Xiaze didn't expect that there was a treasure ground below. He really thought of the Golden Mountain, but he didn't know that they were sleeping on it. Su Yin, Lin Wanlan rubbed her eyes. She saw a familiar person. He couldn't help but think of Su Yin. He couldn't help but say, "Am I in hell? Su Yin, when did you die?" Everyone's gazes swept over, and their hearts trembled when they saw Su Yin. They even saw the Tai Baokai boldly cutting open the formation. This scene was somewhat familiar, and it made them all stunned. Why was Su Yin here? Su Yin's old face darkened. He said helplessly, "I'm the king of hell now. Why aren't you paying your respects?" There was a commotion all around. What was going on? "I'm still alive. My body is still warm." Fan Hong jumped up excitedly and laughed at the sky. "We're still alive. Ha ha ha, we're still alive. Oh my God, we're still alive. War God Su Yin. It should be War God Su Yin who saved us. We're still alive." They were all very excited. They really thought that they had died and would never wake up again. Now that they had all survived, some of them were hugging each other and crying. This was the feeling of coming back to life from death. It was truly indescribable. When they heard that the three godlike experts had already been killed by Su Yin, they were shocked. These people's faces were very abnormal. Su Yin, who had been missing for more than 10 years, had returned from the outer space and become so terrifying. At the same time, they felt that the current Earth was too weak in front of the universe's races. It was nothing at all. "We're actually guarding a treasure mountain and eating dirt." Lin Wanlan's face darkened. She was indignant. Looking at the busy Tai Baokai, her heart was full of depression and speechlessness. What a terrifying Baokai. It's so strong now. Some of the former elders of Huaxia University sighed. The Tai Baokai in the past had made a mess of Huaxia University. Now the Baokai was like a god. It was terrifying, especially the purple gourd in its hands. Various kinds of thick, chaotic sword light drooped down, and each of them seemed to be able to cut the stars in the sky. "Open!" The Baokai let out a last roar and completely split open the formation. The huge ruins of the world below also appeared in their eyes. It was similar to Su Yan's estimation. It was indeed the place where the powerhouses of the Great Path Broken Star gathered. Below seemed to be a holy land of enlightenment. The space was vast and filled with the tide of life. This was the energy of the dragon veins spreading, and it hadn't dried up yet. Oh my God, is this the immortal world in the legends? There are so many celestial palaces, and Taoist palaces. There must have been a very terrifying force that established a sect here. Look, there are so many medicinal herbs here that it's hard to estimate. That he discussed excitedly. The treasures in this great path broken star made Su Yin extremely surprised. Even the buildings here could be moved and transported to Earth. After all, the defense of these palaces was extremely strong. This small world was preserved relatively well. Su Yin speculated that the destruction of the Great Path Broken Star had caused the essence of the entire world to gather in this small world. That was why so many precious herbs were born in this small world. Holy herbs! The Baokai shrieked. It immediately drilled over and threw out a golden cabbage. This cabbage had evolved into a holy herb. It was suffused with the aura of the Great Path, and the divine energy contained within was extremely exuberant. Su Yin turned pale. There was a holy herb here. He even discovered that there was an astonishing energy source in the soil layer dug out by the Baokai. There was an underground river of treasures that was formed by the accumulation of the divine energy of the Great Path Broken Star. What did you say? This is a holy herb? Xia Zhe and the others stared at each other. They knew the value of holy herbs from ancient secret texts. They really didn't know what to say when they found out that this golden cabbage was a legendary holy herb. Seeing their expressions, Su Yin couldn't help but ask. In the end, he looked up at the sky and sighed. He had never eaten a holy herb before. When Xiaze and the others came to the Great Path-Broken Star, they found 2 whole herbs with the same aura as the golden cabbage. In the end, they ate them. They didn't know it was a holy herb. They were really hungry back then. They only knew it was a precious medicine that could prolong their lives. They ate it clean, without hesitation. You ate a holy herb, and you ate 2 of them. If word got out, the divine king would be heartbroken. Bao Kai was so angry that he was trembling. This thing was too precious, and they couldn't bear to eat it. Sacred medicine was a rare treasure in the universe, but to a cultivator in the transcendence realm, swallowing a sacred medicine was equivalent to wasting it. But the holy herb's medicinal power isn't that strong. However, they all frowned. It's very difficult for you to refine the holy herb. You absorbed less than 1% of its medicinal power. Su Yin said, "Of course, the power of the holy herb is hidden in your body. When you're strong enough in the future, you can dig out the power of the holy herb. This would be of great help to Xiaze and the others' cultivation in the future." Holy herbs were priceless. If Transcendence Realm cultivators ate holy herbs, they would definitely be able to use this opportunity to soar into the sky in the future. At this moment, Su Yin lifted the layers of soil and revealed an underground river. However, this was a golden river that gushed with auspicious clouds. The life essence was extremely rich. This was a precious liquid formed after a long period of time. Its value to Su Yin and the Bao Kai was very weak. However, to Xiaze and the others, it would definitely allow their strength to increase by leaps and bounds and continue to erupt. Fortune and misfortune really go hand in hand. Xiaze sighed. They had experienced a great calamity and were extremely close to being completely wiped out. Now, they saw a land of fortune. This was the divine power essence of a great Tao remnant star. It would be of great help to their cultivation. Many people began to swallow the precious liquid in the golden river. This was a great tonic that allowed their declining bodies to shine. One by one, they began to recover towards their peak. They might even take this opportunity to improve greatly. You guys can cultivate here. Su Yan's eyes scanned the surroundings. He called for the Bao Kai to take away all the buildings here. Some of the palaces were rare, spatial treasures. He felt that these things were very important to the current Earth. There's a treasury here. The Bao Cai's eyes were sharp. In the process of moving, they opened a treasury. Inside, there were many ancient weapons that had been covered in dust since ancient times, various mineral veins, and many cultivation resources. Su Yin glanced at these things from time to time and didn't take them to heart. There were even many secret scriptures in some of the scriptures that could be considered valuable. However, they weren't of much help to Su Yin. Back then, he had flipped through many of the top scriptures in Hokuto's scriptures. We really found a resource space. The power that this great Tao remnant star once belonged to was also powerful enough to dominate an entire starfield. The Bao Kai laughed foolishly. Although the treasures they found couldn't be considered valuable, this batch of resources was too large. It made Su Yin speechless. Only a second-tier power in the universe could take out such a large amount of resources. However, this batch of treasures came into their hands for no reason. This made Su Yin feel amazed. Exploring the universe is truly filled with countless fortuitous encounters. Many explorers risked their lives for 1,000 years and didn't reap as much as we did today. Su Yin looked at the entire underground space. His eyes bloomed with extraordinary splendor. Inexplicably, the Bao Kai sensed a terrifying fluctuation boiling. What's wrong? The Bao Cai's expression changed. Su Yin suddenly became very terrifying. His strength was swept across the entire great Tao remnant star. He erupted with the strongest life force. This was equivalent to Su Yan's peak combat strength. No! The divine light in Su Yan's eyes soared. He coldly shouted, "This isn't a great Tao remnant star." Chapter 687. Su Yan's aura suddenly awakened and pierced through the heavens. Even the starry sky was dyed gold. The entire great Tao remnant star seemed to have entered his domain. Is that a god? Some of the top experts of the Huaxiao Alliance, who were cultivating in silence, all turned pale. They saw Su Yin rise from the ground, his figure piercing through the heavens and earth. In their eyes, Su Yin was like a golden god, overlooking the entire great Tao remnant star. Su Yin's strength shocked them. No wonder the three godlike experts were killed by Su Yin. It turned out that the current Su Yin was terrifying in this domain. Xia Zhe and the others were agitated. Now that Su Yin was overseeing Earth, as long as they didn't encounter any great storms, they basically wouldn't face any danger. They could even use this opportunity to develop rapidly. Mining resources in the universe was the way of the king. Boom! Su Yan's aura awakened to its peak. He was like a god in the sky. His hair danced in the wind, and lightning shot out from his eyes. What's wrong with him? Bao Kai was suspicious and vigilant. His entire body also erupted with the power he should have. He also took out the purple gourd and tightly defended against an unknown enemy. Could it be that there was a god hibernating here? In Su Yan's world, this starry sky condensed and manifested in his eyes. The secret techniques of the Mystic Gate were used to the extreme by Su Yin. He was observing the pattern of heaven and earth. At first, when Su Yin entered the great Tao remnant star, Su Yin discovered that there was something wrong with this star. However, he couldn't pinpoint the exact reason. Now that he was standing in the underground space, he increasingly felt that this world wasn't as simple as it seemed. In the process of observing the pattern of heaven and earth, Su Yin discovered that the great Tao remnant star was actually incompatible with the pattern of this universe. This indicated a problem. The great Tao remnant star had drifted here from a very distant place. How could it be moved here? This was extremely difficult. After all, this star was too heavy. Even the Divine King wouldn't be so free as to move a great Tao remnant star. This star, Su Yin leaped above the starry sky and looked down at this great Tao remnant star from above. A trace of shock surged in his heart. He discovered that this great Tao remnant star was faintly filled with an extremely ancient energy fluctuation. In the process of observation, he even discovered that the great Tao remnant star was a hole. Could it be? Su Yan's heart was excited. He had a shocking guess. This great Tao remnant star was a complete supreme treasure. Heavens, a great Tao star is a supreme treasure. Su Yin fiercely sucked in a breath of cold air, his face trembling. The first thing he thought of was the celestial body. If this great Tao remnant star was a supreme treasure, then it should be a celestial body that had grown to this level. But how powerful were the methods needed to evolve a celestial body to such a level? Furthermore, the cost involved was unimaginable. Then, could it be that this was forged by a mighty figure? Su Yan's eyes lit up with excitement. If this was really the saint weapon of a supreme being, then it would be a huge windfall. No matter how many saint medicines there were, no matter how many divine weapons there were, no matter how many secret manuals there were, no matter how many divine weapons there were, no matter how many secret manuals there were, it was impossible for the value of a sacred weapon of a great being to be more terrifying. Even if it was an incomplete sacred weapon, its value was still immeasurable. What did you say? Bao Kai was scared out of its wits. Although it had the banners of demons, a mighty holy weapon was something that could only be found by chance. Who wouldn't want to have a mighty holy weapon? But now, Su Yin said that this great Tao remnant star should be a rare treasure among the mighty holy weapons. Seeing Su Yin nod his head, Bao Kai jumped up in excitement. That was a sacred weapon of a mighty figure. If he could get his hands on it, he would have the means to defend himself even if he faced a deity king in the future. Come with me. Wait for me here. Su Yin brought Bao Kai with him and used a world-shaking escape technique. Beneath this underground space, he speculated that there should be another layer of mysterious space world. It should be the core territory of the great Tao remnant star. Wong. Su Yin and Bao Kai fled deep underground, but as they passed through, they could faintly feel a calling that originated from the depths of their bloodline. Bao Kai and Su Yin looked at each other, their hearts heavy. Could the great Tao remnant star have been left behind by the realm of burial? As they began to traverse, Su Yin was shocked. It was as if they were passing through layers upon layers of mysterious worlds. If it weren't for this calling that originated from their bloodline, then it wouldn't have been easy for them to find their destination. Where is it? They were getting closer and closer to the source. Su Yin could already see that in this mysterious underground world, there was a faintly discernible ancient cave. It was like an immortal cave of the great Tao, hidden in space and time. Be careful. I don't know what happened here. If this really is the great Tao remnant star of our realm of burial, then this place must have suffered a calamity in the distant past. Su Yin took a deep breath and summoned all sorts of protective treasures. Then, he rushed into the ancient cave. The moment he entered, a terrifying aura washed over them, causing Su Yin and Tai Bao's bodies to feel as if they would explode. Boom! The two powerhouses erupted with their peak state. They used all of their hidden treasures and took out all of their treasures. Moreover, they opened their heavenly eyes to look. Their expressions were aghast. What greeted them was a terrifying wave that seemed capable of shattering the starry skies. It was like an ancient sea of stars was crashing down, filling the air with a heavy sense of oppression. They seemed to be standing on a blue sea. The entire world was ancient and mysterious, filled with the aura of gods and devils. Although the blue sea was terrifying, it did not attack them. Su Yin and Tai Baokai could feel that this was the power that originated from their bloodline, allowing them to stand here safe and sound. If an outsider were to intrude, they would definitely be brutally killed. Kill! When they entered the blue sea and continued to traverse the interior, Su Yan's ears transmitted the sound of iron-blooded killing. It was the sound of thousands of soldiers and horses galloping. Their shouts shook the heavens. Every syllable contained a killing intent that could shake one's soul. It was enough to tear apart the 9 heavens. Even with Su Yan's strong spiritual will, cold sweat broke out on his back from the majestic killing intent emitted from this world. The killing intent was too violent and cruel. It was like a sky full of gods and devils swallowing and roaring, wanting to destroy the heavens. The remnant left behind from the ancient era still contains such a terrifying killing intent. This place must have suffered a catastrophe back then. Bao Kai was extremely shocked. This was a killing intent that originated from the reverberation of time and space. It was eternal and had existed until now. Su Yin could feel it, and even see a majestic battlefield that had an earth-shaking momentum. The ancestors of the burial region fought here before. Su Yan's pupils suddenly shrank. He then shouted in a deep voice, "Were they fighting against the ancestral hall and the dark nether race, or other enemies? Since the broken star of the Great Path is nearby, could the calamity here be related to the later progenitor?" It's very possible. Bao Kai agreed with Su Yan's speculation. However, they could not calculate the time and distance of the broken star of the Great Path. They were sprinting above the blue sea, wandering. This was a mysterious and shocking world. Su Yan could not see how big this world was. He could only see that the layout was abnormally terrifying. There was the light of order burning. This was very likely created by a mighty figure. Or rather, it was the world inside the broken star of the Great Path. Where are the corpses? They even saw many corpses floating on the surface of the sea. They had been dead for countless years, but no one collected their bones. Su Yin speculated. Could it be that a long time ago, a strong enemy had invaded the space inside the broken star of the Great Path? He also saw many broken pieces of weapons floating on the blue sea. They stood on the surface of the sea and searched for the corpses. This is the force armor, and it's still intact. Su Yin was shocked. Are they really the experts of the burial region? They have the force armor, so they must be the experts of the core clans. Here, Su Yin found the skeletons of 7 members of the Zong region wearing force armor. Most of them were badly damaged, and it was impossible to distinguish their faces. They kept the skeletons well, and the force armor they wore were all bronze force armor. There was 1 silver force armor. This was the space secret armor of the burial region race. Only the members of the burial region race could wear it. They continued to search on the surface of the sea and moved deeper into the broken star of the burial region. Along the way, they found many corpses and found more and more force armor. There were almost 100 sets. One could imagine how important this place was to the burial region race in the past. There are so many force armors. How many experts have fallen here? Suyen's breathing was heavy. The catastrophe here must have happened a long time ago. He even speculated that this was one of the burial region race's territories. I see land. Let's go and take a look. They were about to cross the blue sea, but at the end of the area, they found a large piece of land. It was like an ancient mountain at the end of the sea. Moreover, the whole land was dyed red with blood. It was emitting a demonic light that made people shudder. The aura was too fierce. There must have been a bloody battle. Suyen found that the battle cries were even louder. This was the sound of killing that had existed for a long time. It was deafening and made their primordial spirits tremble. They were on the verge of being torn apart by the murderous aura. The weak were not qualified to participate in such a great battle. Suyen felt as if he had arrived in a world where gods and devils were fighting. Corpses were everywhere, and the land was dyed red with blood. Many palaces had collapsed, and mountains had collapsed. This was a large area of ruins that was dyed with dried blood. Suyen walked in the blood-dyed world. His heart was heavy, and he felt extremely depressed. What a great battle! He felt that even the heavenly deities had fallen. The war back then must have been very cruel and bloody. But when they crossed over a territory, the divine sound of the great Tao transmitted in their ears. It was incompatible with the world of killing and corpses everywhere. It was as if they had walked into a pure land. This was transmitted from a Tao palace. It was bathed in golden multicolored light and was divine and dignified. It dispersed the killing intent of gods and devils between heaven and earth, creating a peaceful, pure land. That is, Suyen was shocked. The Tao palace was solemn and dignified. It was simple and unadorned, yet it seemed glorious. Suyen even saw primitive people one after another. They were sitting around the Tao palace, as if they were chanting scriptures to the Tao palace. Those were really figures one after another. They had their backs to them and were facing the Tao palace. They were draped in ancient battle armor that flowed with golden splendor. Chapter 688. That's Suyen and Baokai had solemn expressions. These were the ancestors of the buried region. They sat around the Tao palace, and there were a total of 6 of them. Their figures were tall and majestic, as if they could bear the weight of the heavens. Even though they had been standing here for 1,000,000 years, their spines were as unreachable as the abyss of the heavens. They were filled with supreme divine might that intimidated the world. At this moment, Suyen and Baokai felt like prostrating themselves in worship. That was because they were once too terrifying. Even though they were now dead, they were still powerful and courageous. They were like invincible war gods, invincible kings who looked down on the universe. They sat around the Tao palace as if they were chanting scriptures to the Tao palace. Suyen's emotions were complicated. They should be dead. After all, this was a war that happened a long time ago. Since they were sitting here, perhaps they had already passed away. Let's go take a look. They started walking towards the Tao palace, but when they got close, the Tao palace lit up and automatically chanted the heavenly melody of the great Tao. It was deafening, like lightning streaking across the world, penetrating their souls. It was like a baptism or a test. At this moment, Suyen and Baocai's bodies glowed. Their primordial spirits were resplendent, and their blood roared. They resonated with the Tao palace, as if the Tao palace was recognizing them, examining them, and confirming their identities. In the past, this was our family's ancestral land. Suyen held his head high and walked towards the Tao palace. As they got closer, they suddenly saw a figure sitting cross-legged at the entrance of the Tao palace. He was draped in ancient black armor, sitting on the ground. Now, he was endlessly terrifying, like a war god who could swallow the sea of stars erupting. That was the source of life that could drown a star region burning. This was the universe's furnace, too tyrannical and terrifying. Su Yin and Bao Kai were about to be pulverized, burned to ashes. This meant that he was too powerful. He's still alive. Bao Kai screamed uncontrollably. They could all feel how terrifying and heaven-defying this existence was. He was still alive and was emitting peerless power, peerless sharpness, and terrifying spiritual will. An existence that had lived for countless years was an unimaginably powerful existence. They rushed toward the Tao Palace with surging emotions. They longed for the burial realm race to have a powerhouse overseeing them, a great character whose might could shake the myriad races. If this person was still alive, then he would be a stabilizing force for the burial realm race in the future. Earth's crisis could be resolved, but when they got closer, sorrow welled up in their hearts. Although this tall man seemed to be alive, other than his peerless fighting strength and the burning of his source of life, he didn't transmit any spiritual will. Moreover, the surging aura in his body quickly went dormant and gathered in his flesh shell. It was as if he had sealed the immortal treasure in his body. He fell into a deep sleep and dead silence, as if he had died in an instant just now. Su Yin drew in a deep breath. They had already arrived before him. There were still remnants of their auras in the air. They were extremely ancient and had been imprinted in space-time. Even now, they still hadn't scattered. There were 6 people, both men and women. There were many cracks on the armor they wore. These armors must have been extremely powerful in the past, but unfortunately, they had already shattered and the divine power within had been completely dispersed. 5 of them had already withered, and it was difficult to estimate how long they had died. There are written records here. Bao Kai opened his mouth and blew away the dust on the ground, revealing blood-red words. These words had existed for an incomparably long time and were about to disappear completely. After reading these words, Su Yin sighed in his heart. The words recorded clearly that the 6 of them were already at their limits. The other 5 had chosen to transfer their divine power to Luo Yu so that he could extend his lifespan for a period of time. 5 of his old brothers had fallen in front of him one after another just to extend Luo Yu's lifespan. He was heartbroken and guarded this place, combining the divine power in his body. Once a strong enemy invaded, he would immediately kill them. If a member of the Zhongyu clan found this place, then he would become the foundation of the Zhongyu clan. After reading these words, the 6 ancient war gods flashed with dazzling imprints between their eyebrows. It was as if a condensed universe was burning and surrounded by the light of order, waiting for his successor to come and harvest their fruits of the great Tao. Bao Kai was dumbfounded and his heart was filled with shock. 5 half-step almighties and 1 almighty. They died here, and they were unknown. How terrifying was the Zhongyu clan back then? What kind of people were they in the Zhongyu clan? Su Yan's heart was also surging with tempestuous waves. It was difficult to estimate how long they had been dead, but before they died, they chose to leave behind their inheritance imprints. 5 half-step almighty Tao imprints and 1 almighty Tao imprint. For a progenitor, this was currently the greatest wealth because Earth needed inheritance imprints. This almighty Tao imprint was even more precious and terrifying. Of course, a half-step almighty Tao imprint was not much inferior to an almighty Tao imprint. Although they had failed to break through, they must have learned their lesson. If their successor could carry forward their path, then they would definitely be able to break through this time. If we find a clan member with a powerful bloodline, we will definitely be able to gain the recognition of the old ancestor and obtain their inheritance. This can be considered as making up for the missing ancient secret techniques of the Zhongyu clan. Bao Cai's words made Su Yin nod. He said, "That's right. The Zhongyu clan definitely lacks a lot of inheritance. These 6 imprints are enough to cultivate 6 experts on Earth. Heritage is too important for a clan." Su Yin put the 6 old ancestors into the space treasure one by one. Su Yin would choose to bury them on Earth, or even near the Celestial Mountain. If he buried the 6 of them together, the progenitor would definitely be a good place for them to return to. Why don't they have force armor? The old ancestors' force armor must be very powerful. It can become the strongest heritage of the progenitor. Baokai was suspicious. They had obtained a lot of bronze force armor and silver force armor, but they had not seen any higher-level force armor. I think that force armor that can increase the combat power of a half-step almighty must be very precious. Our Zhongyu clan can't mass-produce it. Su Yin speculated. If the Zhongyu clan could mass-produce force armor that could even be used by almighties, it would be really heaven-defying. Su Yin felt that it was impossible. However, there was a force armor in Luo Yu's body, but Su Yin could not take it out. There's still a kind of power in Luo Yu's body. I wonder how strong it is. Su Yin clenched his fist. A life-saving technique left behind by an almighty was definitely heaven-defying. It could definitely kill the Divine King. If he wanted to get the force armor in Luo Yu's body, he would have to wait for the secret technique in Luo Yu's body to dissipate. It can definitely kill the Divine King and beat up a half-step almighty. Baokai calculated and felt that there was a lot of hope. It might even be able to kill a half-step almighty. This was a great killing weapon that could be used as the heritage of the later progenitor. However, Su Yin really hoped that this day would never come. Once the divine power in Luo Yu's body was used, it meant that they had encountered a disaster that could only be resolved by the power of an almighty. At that moment, Su Yin looked at the Dao Palace. There's a supreme treasure of the Zhongyu clan here. Su Yan's eyes were filled with anticipation as he walked into the Dao Palace. Once he entered, it was as if he had entered an immortal realm of the great Dao. It was a world of hazy, immortal fog. An auspicious light shone in all directions. It was a pearl surrounded by the immortal brilliance of the great Dao, spewing out the light of order. It was difficult to estimate how powerful it was because this great Dao pearl was in a calm state, revolving in the air. This pearl seemed to contain an endless source of the great Dao, so it was the core of the great Dao remnant star. I see. This is one of the supreme treasures of our Zhongyu clan, one of the 36 great Dao pearls. Su Yin and Tai Baokai were in a daze as they muttered to themselves. This great Dao remnant star could only be considered the outer layer of the great Dao pearl. If not for the guidance of his bloodline, Su Yin would never have discovered that the great Dao pearl was hidden here. The great Dao pearl is a famous supreme treasure in the world of cultivation. Legend has it that there are 36 great Dao pearls in total. Once all 36 great Dao pearls are gathered, they can be called an invincible supreme treasure. A total of 36 pearls, but just this one pearl made Su Yin feel incomparably powerful. He felt that this was a sacred weapon of an almighty. The era of the great Dao pearl's prosperity was relatively long ago. It originated from the Desolation era. 1,000,000 years had passed, and there were fewer rumors of the great Dao pearl. After all, in the eyes of the world, this supreme treasure was impossible to gather. According to Baotsai's understanding, the great Dao pearls were controlled by various major forces. There were more or less a few, and some were even lost. Then this was one of the lost great Dao pearls. Now it was suspended here, overflowing with auspicious clouds and radiant light. Su Yin could feel the shocking power of the great Dao contained in the great Dao pearl. This thing is not only a supreme treasure, but also an immortal treasure that can help one comprehend the Dao. Su Yan's eyes were filled with joy. Although it was only one of the supreme treasures of the Zhongyu clan, it was still a great harvest. It's hard to imagine. How powerful are the 36 great Dao pearls? Baokai was dumbfounded. 36 pearls. In the heyday of the Zhongyu clan, they were the supreme treasures of their clan. Who could imagine how powerful and heaven-defying it was? Even just one pearl is not something we can activate now. Su Yin felt it seriously. He realized that the great Dao pearls contained a shocking power of the great Dao. It was extremely difficult to activate. Even if they could activate it, it would be difficult for their divine power to operate this supreme treasure. The divine power required was not something they could bear. The great Dao pearls did not resist their control. This was the secret treasure of the Zhongyu clan. As long as their bloodline was strong enough, they could use it. They could use the Great Tao Pearls to cultivate or defend against strong enemies. When the Great Tao Pearls were taken away, Su Yin realized that this space was about to collapse. This world had been preserved until now because of the Great Tao Pearls. Let's go. Su Yin looked at the distorted mini-world. This used to be the base of the Zhongyu clan. Now, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. As time passed, it would slowly become a wasteland. At the moment when they disappeared here and appeared in the underground world, Su Yin realized that Xia Zhe and the others had changed greatly. As they breathed, their bodies glowed. Fragments of the Great Tao were shining in their bodies, filling them with a kind of Tao. There was no doubt that they had gained a lot from this life and death experience. Now that they had activated the potential in their bodies and absorbed part of the power of the sacred medicine, their cultivation had improved greatly. Chapter 689. The next day, many regions of this great Tao remnant star that floated in the starry sky began to sink in. Large jet-black cracks ruptured one after another, and even quite a number of mountains collapsed, forming many areas of collapse. The star shook. After losing the great Tao immortal pearl, it seemed to have lost its life. The essence of heaven and earth began to dry up. This great Tao remnant star could no longer be called a remnant star. It could only be described as a dead star. Slowly, it would shatter in the universe. Boom! When a loud explosion resounded through the vast territory, the speed at which the star was sinking was too fast. Moreover, Dali's attack made it tremble, and it was very close to exploding. The star was slowly being destroyed, and a simple and ancient battleship, which was huge but looked relatively clumsy, left the great Tao remnant star and rushed into the universe, ready to begin its journey back. Before Su Yin left, he took all the treasures of the great Tao remnant star and also took the Golden River. This river was relatively impressive. It excavated precious soil and led it to the snowy mountains, forming the strongest spirit vein spring in Huaxia University. Gone. Su Yin gazed at the shattered great Tao remnant star. The scene inside was very unforgettable, and the harvest of this trip was great. Not only did he find Su Bingshuang and the others, but he also obtained a great Tao immortal pearl. That was the most precious treasure of the Zhongyu tribe. Although it was only one of them, Su Yin was very excited. And the experience of Luo Yu ancestor and the others made Su Yin realize that the Zhongyu tribe's past was much crueler than now. Even the Almighty had risked his life. One could only imagine the cruelty of the past. What a stupid ox. Its ability to travel through space is not enough. It was so clumsy that it almost shattered the great Tao remnant star. The Baokai chattered and ran around the battleship, inspecting the damage of the battleship. This was excavated from an ancient ruin by Xia Zhe and the others. The battleship was relatively intact, and there were not many damaged areas. Together with the repairs made by the array masters of the Huaxia Alliance, it could travel through the universe. Master Su Yin, how do you think this battleship should be repaired? The two array masters behind Su Yin humbly asked for advice. Their eyes were full of reverence, because they were the students of Su Yan's array Tao. These two were also the top array masters of the Huaxia Alliance. This battleship is not bad. Su Yin nodded. First of all, the materials of the battleship, even if they were taken apart and sold, even heavenly gods would not be able to sell them easily. Come with me. Su Yin waved his hand and asked the two array masters to follow him. He was ready to train them. Of course, it would take a long time to repair this battleship, but if it could be repaired, it would shorten the time needed to return to Earth. If they relied on this battleship to travel from here to Earth, it would take at least 3 to 4 months to return. At that time, Su Yin had arrived quickly because he had used a teleportation array that could traverse space. Just those teleportation arrays alone were very expensive. Thank you, War God Su Yin. Hong Wendy and Jie Jinyuan were very excited. They carefully observed Su Yan's refinement methods. They were obsessed with Array Tao. Array Tao was a great help to the construction of Earth. They felt that if they could improve their Array Tao, they could change the layout of Earth's cities. Under Su Yan's arrayed Dao, the broken battleship began to gradually recover. In the process, Su Yan took apart a lot of materials from the battleship to repair it. The more the battleship was repaired, the faster it could travel across the universe. It even became more stable during the process. Half a month passed just like that. Su Yan would occasionally come out to wander around. Xia Zhe and the others would enter deep seclusion. The 36-peak Transcendence Realm experts had gone through a bloody storm that lasted 1 to 2 years. This also caused their transformation to be very shocking. Their improvement was also very fast. With Su Yan and Bao Kai cultivating at the peak of this place, it was difficult for their strength not to improve even if they wanted to. On this day, Su Yan's expression changed slightly. His figure disappeared in a blur. When he reappeared, he was in a sealed secret room. Lu Peng. Su Yan was shocked and moved. Lu Peng was also the deputy dean of Huaxia University. He had many disciples and cultivated many generals. Lu Peng's spirit was similar to Yi Yuan's. He was very obsessed with martial arts. And now, Lu Peng's aura erupted from his body. He was like a heavenly saber that had been unsheathed. His aura was filled with awe and awe. Behind him, a blood-red heavenly saber that could split apart the highest heavens appeared, as if it would split apart the heavens. A blood-red mark flashed between Lu Peng's eyebrows. It emitted a terrifying light, like a condensed blood-red heavenly blade. It seemed to have turned into a heavenly blade of the great Tao. Great! Su Yan laughed. He saw with his own eyes that a giant heavenly blade appeared behind Lu Peng. It emitted the power of the great Tao. Although this blood-red heavenly blade that could split the abyss was about to appear, it was still extremely terrifying. Boom! Lu Peng's aura was released. It was abnormally powerful and intimidating. He had broken through and stepped into the realm of quasi-Dao. He even obtained the mark of a half-step almighty. Very good. Su Yan laughed again. Out of the 6 marks, Lu Peng had obtained 1. Although he wasn't one of the 10 war gods of the Huaxia Alliance, Lu Peng had surpassed him and broken through first. Su Yan. Lu Peng woke up and saw Su Yan. An excited smile appeared on his old face. Just as he was about to stand up, Su Yan held him down. He took out some resources and gave them to Lu Peng. He even took out the great Dao Pearl and smiled. Go into seclusion. Give me the Enlightenment Stone. Don't think about anything else now. The Enlightenment Stone was one of Su Yan's most precious treasures. It could be used to comprehend the Tao. He let Lu Peng and the others try to sit on the Enlightenment Stone and obtain the mark of the great Tao. Only Lu Peng had succeeded so far. However, Su Yan laughed when he thought of the fact that there would be 5 half-step almighty successors in the future. Even among the peak clans, how many young experts could obtain the mark of a half-step almighty? Lu Pengqing would be amazing in the future. He would be able to gain even more from the mark of the Great Path. Xia Zhe failed. A few days later, Bao Kai was surprised. He personally checked and realized that Xia Zhe had great potential and a solid foundation. He would be amazing in the future. Moreover, Xia Zhe was able to lead the Huaxia Alliance from the end of the world to this step. Xia Zhe was very capable. Xia Zhe is too steady. He might be a late bloomer in the future and directly attain the Tao. Su Yan waited patiently. In the process, he even discovered that some people were using the Tao Comprehension Stone to cultivate, showing signs of comprehending the Tao. This made Su Yan have high hopes for the Tao Comprehension Stone. This thing would definitely be able to help Earth produce more great Tao realm cultivators in the future. The descendants of the Burial Region bloodline have awakened in this era. After entering the Divine Devil Civilization, some of them will definitely have atavism. So far, Su Bingshuang's bloodline was the strongest among them. Su Yan checked Su Bingshuang's bloodline and realized that there were signs of atavism. Su Yan didn't let Su Bingshuang accept the inheritance. Instead, he took out many secret medicines to strengthen her bloodline. He even moved the worldly source plasma. This was all to make Su Bingshuang's bloodline stronger. It would be best if he could dig out the amazing potential inside. The potential of the human body has many deficiencies. Use the water of life to dig it out. It's too wasteful to let them use the worldly source plasma. Mix it with treasured liquid and let them absorb it. Su Yin had a lot of worldly source plasma on him. He was prepared to nurture some cultivators with great potential on Earth, according to the cultivation world's systematic methods. As for the yin-yang fish, Su Yin was prepared to use it when they improved to the limit. Although Su Yin and Bao Kai had more than 1,000 yin-yang fish, he didn't dare to waste it. If one's potential wasn't enough, it wasn't worth using the yin-yang fish. This thing was too precious. Su Yin, your contribution to the Huaxia Alliance is too great. Although I don't know what kind of treasure this thing is, this universal treasure is too mysterious. I feel that my battle strength has multiplied, and there's even potential to be unearthed. Xiaozhe was amazed and sighed. The cultivation world in the universe was something he yearned for. His calm heart was boiling with excitement. Su Yin had seen the water of life. He no longer felt that the worldly source plasma was too precious. On the contrary, his future goal was the primal chaos ruins, those terrifying secret realms of heaven and earth. He was even looking forward to finding something as miraculous as the water of life in the incomplete universe. Time passed slowly. It had been more than a month. It's been a few months. When will Battle God Su Yin return? How is the Vajra Battle God's injury? The Huaxia Alliance had been paying attention to the movements of the Western Alliance. The Eastern Punitive Expedition had caused them to seal off the news for nearly a month. However, when the Western Alliance received news that the Eastern Punitive Expedition had been wiped out, everyone fell into a state of panic. They all felt that the Western Alliance was truly finished. More than half of their upper echelons had fallen on Divine Forest Island. News of the Huaxia Alliance's number 1 battle god's return set off a storm in the Western Alliance. Who didn't know that Su Yin had killed an alien in a peerless manner? Otherwise, Earth would have fallen into a dangerous situation. The battle god Cade has come into being. He held a dragon spear and almost pierced through the head of Su Yan's brother. When the news spread, the entire Western Alliance was shaken. In this desperate situation, this news was extremely shocking. Who didn't know how tyrannical the Vajra battle god was? But he had almost been killed by Cade on Divine Forest Island. Not to mention the Western Alliance. Even the top experts of the Huaxia Alliance turned pale. The Vajra battle god's strength was unquestionable, but he had almost been killed. It wasn't that the big fatty wasn't strong enough, but that Cade's combat strength was too abnormal. Peak Transcendence Realm experts simply couldn't stop him. The battle god Cade is invincible. He killed his way into Divine Forest Island alone and annihilated a large number of the Huaxia Alliance's soldiers. He even almost killed the Vajra battle god. What do you mean almost? The battle god, Cade, didn't even want to kill him. He said that they weren't on the same level. Chapter 690. This matter caused a huge commotion. The number 1 war gods of Earth's 2 alliances, God of War Kaida and God of War Su Yin, were legendary figures in their respective alliances. They were the leaders of their respective alliances. Now, God of War Kaida declared that he wanted to kill the number 1 war god of the Huaxia Alliance, Su Yin. When this matter reached the Huaxia Alliance, it caused a huge commotion. Even Yanja felt that God of War Kaida was courting death. God of War Su Yan's strength couldn't be described with words. Kaida is nothing in front of God of War Su Yan. He even dares to say that he wants to kill God of War Su Yan. He's too arrogant. Many youths who worship the number 1 war god roared. The Western Alliance's wings have really hardened. How preposterous! The destruction of the Easter Expedition Army didn't wake them up. Instead, they became even more hostile towards God of War Su Yan. Is there still a need for the Western Alliance to exist? Many veterans' eyes were filled with killing intent. God of War Su Yin is invincible. Kill Kaida and make the Western Alliance behave. This matter caused everyone to be furious. God of War Kaida's words had thoroughly angered the ancient lion that was the Huaxia Alliance. Only the cultivators who had witnessed the battle at Divine Forest Island truly understood how terrifying Su Yin was. They didn't think that Kaida could be as tyrannical as Su Yin. But no matter what, the Western Alliance was ready to make a move. god of war Kaida raised his arm and shouted. He was like the reincarnation of a god. He held a dragon spear and emitted a shocking killing intent. He declared that he wanted to kill Su Yin and take revenge for the Eastern Expedition Army. This matter caused a huge commotion. Even the Western Alliance sent messengers and issued a challenge to Su Yin to fight Kaida to the death. However, this matter was somewhat strange. Under everyone's gazes, war god Su Yin didn't appear in front of everyone. The higher-ups of the Huaxia Alliance didn't give an accurate answer either. They only accepted the challenge on behalf of Su Yin and didn't confirm a time. The longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for the Huaxia Alliance. The Western Alliance was getting more and more arrogant. There were even battleships that sailed directly to the Huaxia Alliance's coastal cities, shouting for Su Yin to come out and fight. Damn it, they're getting tighter and tighter. Do they know that Su Yin has left? Hyanja was furious. He knew that Su Yin had gone to the universe to search for traces of Xia Zhe and the others. He wasn't on Earth at all. The people outside are all discussing that Su Yin is afraid and doesn't dare to come out to fight with Cade. This kind of influence is very bad. The news that Su Yin has left Earth must not be leaked. Otherwise, the four alliances will completely suppress us. Our Huaxia Alliance will be in danger then. Lei Lao and the others were furious. Now that the Golden Sun War God's life was in danger, they all knew the Vajra War God very well. Even with the Vajra War God's strength, he couldn't stop Cade. If they went out now to fight Cade on behalf of Su Yin, it would be tantamount to suicide. It would also cause a heavy blow to the Huaxia Alliance. The atmosphere in the hall was oppressive. A group of top experts of the Huaxia Alliance stood inside with gloomy faces. It was unknown how strong Cade was, but he had almost killed the Vajra War God with one shot. This made them feel a chill down their spines. With the cultivation level of Earth, how could there be such a freak? They even had reason to suspect that the Western Alliance might be in cahoots with aliens. Why are there so many people cursing? It's been 2 or 3 years since he left the Huaxia Alliance. It seems that a lot of things have happened. How has Lei Lao been these years? Laughter suddenly rang out, causing the entire hall to fall silent. Then, they all felt that the voice was somewhat familiar. Could it be the experts gathered in the hall thought for a while, and they couldn't help but feel excited? Even Elder Lei shuddered. When they looked out of the Great Hall, they saw people who couldn't be any more familiar walking in from outside the Great Hall, one after another. You guys, the top experts gathered in the hall lost control and almost shouted. Xia Zhe, Lu Peng, Tang Yi, the experts who had dominated the world in the Huaxia Alliance all those years ago, had returned alive one after another. Their auras were extremely powerful. The essence blood in their bodies surged into the sky, and divine power surged. Even the slightest bit of power leaked out, and a magnificent Dharma idol appeared. You guys, Lei Lao and the others felt that they were seeing things. Wasn't that Xia Zhe and the others? They came out of nowhere. What? Don't you recognize us? Hong Wenyi laughed loudly. They were very excited to be able to return to their homeland, the homeland that they had risked their lives to protect. They couldn't help but laugh. Damn it, I thought it was a group of aliens. Lu Changtian burst into laughter. He was in a good mood, as if a mountain had been lifted from his heart. He heaved a sigh of relief. Xia Zhe and the others had all returned. This was of great significance to the entire Huaxia Alliance. As long as these old brothers worked together, they felt that no matter how big the storm was, they would be able to overcome it. The entire hall was bustling with noise and excitement. Some people felt that Earth could lose anyone, but it couldn't lose a top expert. Only then could they intimidate their enemies. Fatty, what's wrong with you? Lin Wanlan also walked in. When she saw Fatty lying on the bed with a black face, her expression changed. Fatty's head had some ghastly cracks, and his injuries wouldn't heal for a long time. Fatty's aura was very weak. If Lu Qingtian hadn't taken out the secret medicine from the strongest trial ground, Fatty would have died long ago. He wouldn't have been able to hold on until now. Fatty was so weak that he couldn't speak. He was relieved that Su Yin was here. His eyes were full of flames of hatred. In the past, he was guarding Divine Forest Island when Cade suddenly killed his way in and killed many of his subordinates. He even cruelly pierced his head with a spear, but he didn't hit any vital parts. This was a relatively cruel method to let the Vajra battle god die in pain. It was done by the Western Alliance. They actually dared to target our Huaxia alliance. Lin Wanlan gritted her teeth and fiercely said, "Are they tired of living?" Fatty was too pitiful and could die at any time. This scene made Xia Zhe and the others angry. They didn't think that the Western Alliance would have the guts to wield a butcher's knife against the Huaxia Alliance. Don't worry, he's fine. He'll be fine after some rest. It's just that the weapon used against Fatty is very strong. Suyin carefully inspected Fatty's injuries. His eyes flashed with coldness. He then took out a leaf from the golden cabbage and let Lin Wanlan refine it into medicine. A portion of the sacred medicine's essence was enough to make the Vajra battle god lively. The scene in front of them made Xia Zhe and the others feel very awkward. Back then, they wolfed down the sacred medicine and didn't know how precious it was. They wasted 2 whole stalks. Report. At this time, a spy came in from outside the hall to report. When he came in, his legs went soft, and he almost fell to the ground. He was dumbfounded. Xia Zhe and the others had miraculously returned and even gathered here. What's the matter? Elder Lei appeared to be very bold and powerful. He waved his hand and shouted, "Did the Western Alliance send people again? Go and tell the soldiers on the front lines to capture all of them. Have the Western Alliance give me half of their territory as ransom." "Yes. Yes, sir." The spy who came to report was shocked. Lei Lao's confidence was too strong. It was no wonder that all the top experts on Earth had returned. This day, to the Huaxia Alliance, which was at the heart of the storm, it was a dramatic change. Not only were the people from the Western Alliance suppressed, but even their battleships were taken away. This caused a huge commotion in the Alliance. Are they crazy? The order was given by Lei Lao. I was shocked too. What happened? Are they really going to war with the Western Alliance? It should be Lei Lao's order. This day still came. Many people's faces changed. Had the Huaxia Alliance decided to go to war? Otherwise, why would they take action at this juncture and suppress the cultivators from the Western Alliance? This incident caused the Western Alliance to be very angry. It was like a tsunami, and the people were boiling. After all, they had been arrogant for so long. They couldn't accept the Huaxia Alliance's sudden attack. "Suyin, come out. I'm going to kill the number 1 battle god of the Huaxia Alliance." The Western Alliance emitted a glorious light. The battle god, Kaid, walked out and roared at the sea, "Attack with full force. If Su Yin doesn't dare to come out, I will tear the entire Huaxia Alliance to pieces and make them pay a heavy price for their foolish actions." The Dragon Slayer is invincible. He's the number 1 expert on Earth. Kill Su Yin. Kill Su Yin. He's invincible. He's invincible. Within the holy city, everyone looked at battle god Cade with fervent gazes. He was hailed as the number 1 battle god of the Western Alliance. His entire body gave off a brilliant light, and he rode on a dark horse. He gave off a valiant aura and held a dragon spear. The black dragon spear emitted a terrifying light. 2 black dragons coiled around the spear as if they were alive. They emitted a terrifying light that seemed to be able to tear the sky apart. This spear was very terrifying. It was known as the strongest weapon in the Western Alliance, and now it was in the hands of the battle god Kaid. The Dragon Slayer is known as the descendant of the dragon in the ancient Huaxia Alliance. Even the number 1 battle god of the Western Alliance can slay dragons. Kill the Huaxia Alliance and kill Su Yin. Avenge the dead warriors. Kill. In the name of the battle god Kaid, kill the number 1 battle god, Su Yin, and destroy the Huaxia Alliance. This was a great change. The Western Alliance mobilized a large number of warships. The cultivators rushed out of the holy city and rushed onto the warships. They shouted loudly that they wanted to destroy the Huaxia Alliance. Just like that, the soldiers of the Western Alliance began to attack the Huaxia Alliance's sea region under the leadership of Kaid. The Western Alliance is really powerful. We just made our move, but they've already started. It seems like they've been planning this for a long time. The dark energy is very familiar. It's the members of the dark mercenary group who chased after us. So that's how it is. They actually discovered Earth long ago. We worked for nothing back then and almost lost our lives. Xia Zhe and the others stood in the coastal city and looked at the sea region in the distance. Cold lightning flashed in their eyes. So that's how it is. Fatty stood up again. His face was full of ruthlessness. It was actually aliens who were helping the Western Alliance. No wonder they had suffered so much. At the end of the sea region, it was a black mass. It was like a black mountain flood that swept over 100,000 miles. It roared, surged, and roared. Huge waves rolled in the sea region. Endless sea beasts died miserably. The scene was quite frightening. The Western Alliance was pushing the front line towards the Huaxia Alliance. The leader was the Kaid War god, holding the black dragon spear. That's mine. Su Yan almost couldn't hold down the Baokai anymore. It was about to rush out. Su Yan was surprised because he saw a divine king's weapon. A complete divine king's weapon. The black dragon spear was a divine king's weapon. This made Su Yan speechless. Even if it was given to a supreme treasure like Su Yan, he wouldn't be able to display its power. But this black dragon spear was different. It was a supreme treasure of a divine king. If it fell into Su Yan's hands, it would definitely be able to restore the source of divine power it deserved. Damn it, poor Fatty Bro's reputation. Fatty's face darkened. It was a treasure that even Su Yan and the others coveted. No wonder he couldn't stop them. Although Earth had a suppressive effect, the sharpness of the divine king's weapon was extremely difficult to resist. Su Yan, get out here. Today, I will slaughter the Huaxia Alliance's #1 war god. Chapter 691. The black waves were about to spread to the coastal cities. In truth, the cities of the Huaxia Alliance seemed weak in front of such a situation. It was as if the entire coastal cities would be shattered as the waves came crashing down. No one expected the Western Alliance to have such a terrifying force. Many hot-blooded young men and women who were clamoring to attack the Western Alliance shut their mouths. The strength of the Western Alliance had exceeded their understanding. Boom! Above the sea, huge waves rolled up into the sky, shattering the clouds in the sky. With a deafening momentum, they swept towards the coastal cities, causing the tens of thousands of soldiers in the cities to feel suffocated. Everyone clenched their weapons tightly and suppressed the panic in their hearts. However, many of them were drenched in cold sweat. They felt that this battle was not going to be easy. The army was suppressing the enemy. Killing intent surged as they pressed towards the entrance of the Huaxia Alliance. This was a scene of darkness. The entire world was about to be plunged into darkness. Su Yan, come out. Today, I will slaughter the #1 war god of the Huaxia Alliance. The #1 war god of the Western Alliance, Kaid, stood at the forefront. He held the black dragon spear and exuded a cold, killing intent. His words were filled with disdain and cruelty. These words angered many people. In their hearts, Su Yan was the #1 war god of the Huaxia Alliance. But now, Kaid challenged Su Yan to come out and even wanted to slaughter him. You're nothing. You don't even have the qualifications to challenge war god Su Yan. The soldiers at the front roared. Their eyes were red. They couldn't bear to see someone trample on the invincible monument in their hearts. Boom! Kaid's aura became even more powerful and turbulent. The energy that overflowed from his body pierced through the clouds. A magnificent picture of darkness appeared behind him. It contained a spirit that could suppress everything. In the face of such pressure, the defense line set up along the coast was on the verge of collapse. Some Transcendence Realm experts were breathing heavily. They felt as if a dark mountain had crossed over and pressed down on their heads, making them unable to muster much courage to fight Kaid. The entire defensive line trembled and was on the verge of exploding. At this moment, the Western Alliance was in an uproar. War God Kaid is invincible. Dragon Slayer is invincible. War God Kaid is the #1 war god on Earth. Tell Su Yan to come out and fight War God Kaid. Deafening shouts could be heard from all directions, and the momentum was vast. As Cade's power surged, he charged in that direction. Just as the coastal defense line was about to be destroyed, Fatty's aura suddenly awakened. His body was like an iron tower, and he blocked all the dark energy that was rushing towards him. During this process, the divine clothes he wore shone, releasing endless radiance, making him look like an iron tower war god, standing on the front lines. The Vidra battle god's cold eyes stare at Cade. He had once sworn that if he could survive, he would undergo all kinds of hellish and cruel training and become a powerhouse who could take charge of his own affairs. He didn't want to experience the humiliation from before again. Didn't Vidra war god say that he was killed by Cade? Look at him, he's perfectly fine. Many people were stunned. Xiaze and the others were ashamed. That was only a small portion of the sacred medicine's essence. Yet it was enough to make the fatty brimming with vitality. His life force was even more vigorous than before. Cade narrowed his eyes and said coldly, "Trash, what are you doing out here? Haven't you enjoyed the taste of death enough? Don't tell me you want to experience it again." Huaxia Alliance, my patience is limited. Get Suyin out here, or I will lead an army and flatten the entire Huaxia Alliance. His tone was very arrogant. He treated the Huaxia Alliance as a piece of meat in his mouth that he could enjoy at any time. He didn't even put Su Yin in his eyes. "Brat, you're very arrogant." The Baokai rushed up, its black and white fur glowing. It waved its claws at Cade and scolded, "Come here, let this beast god have a taste of your skills." Tai Baokai rushed over, causing the hearts of many veterans of the Huaxia Alliance to surge. Although they knew that Su Yin had returned, when they saw this giant panda, they could confirm that Su Yin had really returned. However, the appearance of Tai Baokai made the expressions of some of the old war gods of the Western Alliance very strange. Back then, they had treated Tai Baokai as their god. Some people hadn't forgotten that it was Tai Baokai who had saved the Western Alliance from the flames of war. "Who do you think you are?" Cade's expression was gloomy as he scolded. "Su Yin doesn't dare to come? Send a ferocious beast to fight me? Is there no one else in the Huaxia Alliance? Who are you looking down on?" Baokai exploded on the spot. Its entire body rippled with a ferocious light that shot into the sky. It was as if it had transformed into a prehistoric, ferocious beast. Various grand and magnificent totems appeared on its back, and it was suffused with a divine might that could overturn rivers and seas. Cade's expression changed slightly. He was very surprised by the strength displayed by the Baokai. "Baokai, don't attack." Suyin walked out and waved at Cade. "Come here and talk to me." The person who suddenly stood up and spoke to Cade with such an attitude. Ask him to come over. This scene caused the silent Huaxia Alliance to erupt in an uproar. Under the eyes of everyone, the war god Su Yin walked out. "Look, it's really the war god Su Yin." Countless people shouted. Their words were filled with fanaticism and reverence. Su Yin was a legend of the Huaxia Alliance. Now that he walked out and stood at the forefront, many people shouted and their hearts surged. "So you're Su Yin." Cade's face was gloomy as he shouted, "You're too arrogant. If I don't teach you a lesson, you'll really think that you're the #1 war god of Earth. I don't know if I'm the war god or not, but I'm enough to kill a little bastard like you." Su Yin sneered. "Leave this little bastard to me. Su Yin, go and catch the big one. Don't fight with me." The Baokai was restless. It was like a big iron bull, stomping its hooves and breathing out green smoke from its nostrils. It was about to charge forward. Lei Lao and the others were dumbfounded. Was Cade's weapon really so powerful that it could make Su Yin and the Baokai fight each other under such circumstances? At the same time, they were becoming more and more relaxed. It seemed that there was no suspense in this battle. Only Xiaze and the others understood how terrifying Su Yin was. He could even kill gods and demons. What else could stop the rise of the Huaxia Alliance? You really don't know the difference between life and death. Cade's face was ashen. His originally imposing manner was overflowing with divine might. But now he had no choice but to go berserk. What were Su Yin and the others doing? Were they treating him as prey? They were actually fighting over who would kill him first. How preposterous. Boom! The sea region rumbled. Cade rushed up in an instant and brandished the black dragon spear in his hand, fiercely hacking towards Su Yin. This attack was fast, accurate, and ruthless. Even a void collapsed. It was full of destructive power. In the face of such a sharp attack, many people were alarmed. This black dragon spear was too tyrannical. No wonder it was known as the #1 divine weapon of the Western Alliance. Be careful. Some people's hearts rose to their throats. They saw the black dragon spear within reach of Su Yin, about to pierce through his head. But Su Yin seemed indifferent. God, Su Yin, die? Cade diabolically grinned. With the strength of the black dragon spear, who could block it? This spear was fast, accurate, and ruthless. Soon, it would pierce through Su Yan's head. In the process, the black dragon spear's strength suppressed Su Yan's mortal body. Suddenly, that silent shadow awakened. With a raise of his hand, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked apart. Su Yan's aura soared into the heavens. Above the sea region, a golden light erupted. It was like a great sun that illuminated the heavens and illuminated the sea region for 10,000 miles. His terrifying appearance was clearly visible. Boom! The solar fist erupted just like that. It was as powerful and tyrannical as ever. The black dragon spear didn't even touch Su Yan's clothes before Su Yan's fist solidly smashed into Cade's chest and sent him flying. Puff! Cade screamed. The black dragon spear in his hand almost flew out of his hand. This punch made him howl in pain. He felt like his body was about to explode. Everyone present was stunned, especially the people of the Western Alliance. They couldn't recover for a long time. Cade was sent flying. He was even sent flying by Su Yan's fist. How was this possible? The cultivators of the Western Alliance who believed in Cade's invincibility trembled and their legs went soft. That punch seemed to have smashed into their hearts, suffocating them. Puff! Cade continuously coughed up blood and screamed. The attack of the solar fist was extremely difficult for him to withstand. His body began to crack and the blood essence in his body dried up. China's war god is invincible. The coastal cities were in an uproar. This scene made their blood boil, and they all roared. Leave this little bastard to me. The Baokai directly attacked. It raised its big claws and ruthlessly slammed them into Cade's back. Cade couldn't dodge at all. The giant panda was like a prehistoric beast, causing him to panic. A hideous bloody scar appeared on his body from the bout-sized claws. He despaired and felt a trace of fear in his heart. How could Su Yin be so abnormal? How could this beast be so ridiculously strong? The black dragon spear is mine. Baokai, you already have the banners of demons. Don't be greedy. I still don't have a divine king's weapon. The banners of demons are too wasteful. The black dragon spear is mine. You can have the big harvest behind you. Su Yin and the Baokai rushed up. Their words made everyone in the battlefield speechless. It turned out that they were fighting for Cade's weapon and didn't take him seriously at all. Cade even had the heart to die. Originally, he wanted to defeat Su Yin in glory and become Earth's #1 war god. But now it was all for naught. I'm going to kill you. Cade's eyes were about to pop out. The dark energy in his body surged, causing his source of life to soar. He was like a blood beast that came out of the darkness and rushed towards Su Yin. Noisy. Su Yin's eyes were like lightning. His black hair danced in the wind. He was like a demon god flying through the sky. He raised his palm and pressed forward. Kacha! This slap landed on Cade's body. No matter how amazing his strength was, his body was still deformed by Su Yan's slap. It was too horrible to look at. Western Alliance's #1 war god. Chapter 692. Am I dreaming? In the coastal cities, the Chinese alliance had gathered their soldiers to participate in the bloody battle. Some of them were even prepared to sacrifice their lives for the alliance. However, the scene before them left them dumbfounded. Some of them rubbed their eyes. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. That was the #1 war god of the Western Alliance, Cade. Yet, he was suppressed by Su Yin with a single slap. From the start of the battle until now, Su Yin didn't even use his full strength. It was as if he was just playing around. He directly suppressed the #1 war god of the Western Alliance. Cade War God. The mighty army of the Western Alliance fell into fear. That was their idol, the immortal monument, the invincible war god of the Western Alliance. However, the current Cade was trembling. His dignity and arrogance were all gone. Su Yan's strength was enough to make the current Cade feel fear. How strong was this existence that he couldn't resist at all? For a time, many of the Western Alliance's soldiers who came to join the fun fled. They never want to take half a step into the Chinese alliance again. After all, the Eastern Punitive Expedition suffered a crushing defeat. Now, Cade War God was suppressed with a single slap. This showed that the ancient Chinese alliance couldn't be provoked. Su Yan's strength shocked the entire world into silence. The vast sea was filled with the murderous aura of the Chinese alliance. Since the Western Alliance attacked the Chinese alliance wouldn't be lenient. They definitely wouldn't suffer a loss again. Speak. Su Yan's cold shout shook Kai to the point that he was terrified. Su Yan's voice almost shattered his soul. He let out a hysterical roar. The strength of my backer is something that you will never be able to touch. It will be your nightmare. Cade screamed in despair. His entire body was collapsing layer by layer. No matter how strong the dark energy in his body was, it couldn't stop Su Yan's determination to kill him. Bang! In the end, Cade exploded into a mist of blood, dyeing the sea red. The entire crowd was in an uproar. Cade was directly killed. The #1 war god and #2 war god of the Western Alliance had both fallen. This caused all the cultivators to fall into shock. Kill! All of a sudden, shadows with monstrous auras appeared one after another in the coastal city. They were like a group of burning blood and chi furnaces. Their auras were shocking and connected together like a raging sea. A sword embryo appeared. Xia Zhe, who had disappeared from the Huaxia Alliance for many years, soared into the sky. He held the killing sword and let out a terrifying voice. Kill! Oh my god! The clan leaders of the various clans all roared. The missing Xia Zhe and the others had all returned. In fact, their strength had skyrocketed. 36 top-notch experts had been born, and the entire Huaxia Alliance's foundation had reached the heavens. They had even crushed the dark storm outside. Kill! Attack the Western Alliance! Kill, kill, kill! At this moment, the morale of the entire Huaxia Alliance skyrocketed. Everyone roared. At this moment, they truly experienced the strength of the Huaxia Alliance. The moment Xia Zhe and the others erupted, the entire battlefield was ignited with the flames of war. Kill! Many people went crazy. They roared, incomparably valiant, as they charged out. Quick, let's go! The morale of the Western Alliance's army collapsed. A large number of cultivators fled. They were truly scared out of their wits. The #1 war god Cade had been killed by Su Yan. Now, Xia Zhe and the others had suddenly risen. A large number of the Huaxia Alliance's top experts had appeared. One could imagine how tyrannical their strength was. They charged out like this, causing the vast sea to tremble. The sky was filled with the sounds of killing. Many people had stomachs full of anger. Now all of it was released. As Xia Zhe and the others began to charge towards the Western Alliance, they were filled with the flames of fury to tear the Western Alliance apart. My! Bao Kai excitedly rushed forward, raising its claws to grab the black dragon spear. This was the Divine King's weapon. It couldn't even be bought, and now it had fallen into their hands. Be careful! Su Yan's expression changed. Just as Bao Cai's hands were about to grab the black dragon spear, Su Yan discovered that this supreme treasure was emitting an abnormally sinister energy. The black dragon spear was beginning to be dominated by some kind of energy. Bang! The black dragon spear trembled, causing the void to explode. A terrifying airflow soared into the heavens. Although this supreme treasure was suppressed by Earth's strength, it was still the Divine King's weapon. The moment it awoke, its aura filled the skies. Bao Kai rapidly dodged. Its claws were nearly shattered. It angrily roared, Mother ****, this treasure has a spirit mark. Hurry and chase after it. We can't let the Divine King's weapon escape. We can't let the dark mercenary groups, powerhouses escape. The black dragon spear had already broken through the void, tearing it apart as it headed towards the Western Alliance. "Where do you think you're going?" Su Yin moved as fast as lightning. He used the shrinking ground to inch his technique to traverse the space above the sea. Every step he took, the void would vanish and the space would distort. His speed was exceptionally fast. It was several times faster than the speed of the warship. Baokai also chased after him. They wanted to resolve this matter and also dig out the powerhouses of the dark mercenary group. The sea region they had left behind was dyed red with blood, and countless cultivators had perished. It could be considered a decisive battle, but it was completely one-sided. Xia Zhe and the others had joined the battle, and were able to sweep through the enemy forces as easily as pulling dry weeds. Whoosh whoosh. The black dragon spear tore through the skies like a bolt of lightning in the darkness, bright and sharp. It rushed through the sea region, hurtling towards the Western Alliance. From far away, Su Yin could already see the Western Alliance. The Black Dragon Spear was hurtling towards the Western Alliance's holy city. This city was like a giant castle, dazzling in gold and jade and filled with the aura of nobility. This was the strongest city of the Western Alliance. As Su Yin chased after the Black Dragon Spear, he faintly sensed that someone was spying on him from the shadows. Su Yin sneered in his heart. He didn't speak and only madly chased after them. This is the holy city. His eyes looked at the giant castle. He observed the structure of the castle as well as the momentum of the world that gathered within. He could see a sort of austere, killing intent hidden within the space, an arrow on a bowstring. What great confidence! They want to eat me in a single breath. Su Yin sneered. With his attainments in the occult gates and his cultivation in the Tao of Arrays, he was able to easily defeat them. Even if an array formation grandmaster were to set up a trap for Su Yin in front of Su Yin, it would be the same as showing off one's sleight skill before an expert. Besides a grandmaster at the peak of the Tao of Arrays, there were very few killing arrays in the world of cultivation that could trap Su Yin. Bang! At this time, the Black Dragon Spear had already flown into the castle. Su Yin and Baokai also rushed in. The moment they entered the castle, it was like they had escaped into a city of darkness. The entire world was filled with a cold and gloomy light. Wong. Inside the holy city, there was a dazzling radiance. An ancient temple had awakened within the holy city. Dark energy as black as ink gushed out and swept towards the heavens. It was like the palace of the king of hell had opened, filling the air with an aura that could slaughter all living beings. There's a killing array. Someone set a trap for us and deliberately led us here. Baocai's face fell on the spot. The space within this killing array was extremely astonishing. The moment they entered, the killing array closed and sealed them together, evolving into a purgatory space. Jia! A gloomy voice exploded. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled between the heavens and earth. All sorts of thick black lightning flashed, releasing a curtain of light that could tear apart one's soul. It wasn't just a few bolts, but tens of thousands of bolts of lightning that tore through the void. The entire holy city was shocked by the sudden awakening of the killing array. The residents of the city were terrified, but then they began to shout in excitement. This was because they saw the lookout burning. This was the most sacred temple of the Western Alliance. The number one war god Cade was Jia, who had walked out from this lookout. The lookout was the core of the Western Alliance. It was said that it was the temple where the gods lived. This also led to the lookout slowly becoming the core that controlled the Western Alliance. Now that the lookout was burning, the space within was filled with destructive black lightning. It was like the punishment of the gods that was about to pass judgment on Su Yin. The residents of the city saw that Su Yin and Baokai were trapped in the lookout. The gods have made their move and suppressed Su Yin. The cultivators in the city were worshipping the lookout. Some were even kowtowing. The lookout of the Western Alliance was a supreme place in their hearts. The gods were omnipotent. Now that they had suppressed the number one war god of the Huaxia Alliance, Su Yin, their reverence for the lookout became even more fanatical. In the space of the Divine Hall, no matter how terrifying the lightning was, Su Yin was not afraid. He coldly shouted, "Come out. At this time, don't hide your head and show your tail." Kiki. A gloomy voice sounded. Su Yin is indeed Su Yin, the well-deserved madman Su. You even dared to kill the son of a supreme expert. There's really nothing you don't dare to do. Are you from the dark mercenary group? Come out. Su Yan's eyes were filled with killing intent. He shouted coldly into the darkness, "If you don't come out, I'll tear down your broken temple." In the darkness, there was silence. He didn't expect Su Yin to know his origin. This caught him off guard. Things were beyond his expectations. However, he was still full of confidence. He said gloomily, "Madman Su is indeed Madman Su, the well-deserved rising star of the Zhongyu clan. Ha! I really didn't expect Earth's origin to be so great. Even you, Madman Su, have appeared here. Since Su Yin was a native from Earth, this must be a territory of the Zhongyu clan. If the Ancestral Hall knew about this, the consequences would be severe." "What? You want to target the Zhongyu clan?" Su Yin was provoked by his words and laughed angrily. He couldn't help but say that this person was courting death. I wouldn't dare." The shadow hidden in the darkness laughed sinisterly. "However, I'm more interested in Su Yan's head. 3 divine king soldiers. That's a great fortune. I'll also sell the entire Earth. I think the Ancestral Hall will give me a very reasonable amount." In fact, he only knew about Su Yin recently. It was because of the incident with Morilon that the Master of the Lookout learned of Su Yan's name. He was very surprised and didn't expect to come to Su Yan's hometown. You're really courting death. Chapter 693. Su Yan's killing intent surged. The experts of the Dark Mercenary Group must have known about him and guessed the origin of Earth. At the same time, Su Yan's back was covered in cold sweat. If the Dark Mercenary Group knew about Earth's origin beforehand, the consequences would be very serious. After all, there are no space-time storms on the way from Earth to the cultivation world. At that time, the progenitor would not fall into the hands of the Ancestral Palace, but would capsize in the gutter. Once the traces of Earth were leaked, the Ancestral Palace would definitely send people over. No matter how strong the foundation was, would it be able to resist the supreme treasures of the Almighty? Su Yin felt that it was very difficult. Dark Mercenary Group, you are really courting death. How dare you get involved in this muddy water? Su Yan's eyes were filled with killing intent. His blood boiled and his power erupted, causing the entire temple to tremble. Suddenly, Su Yan's combat power was suppressed to the Transcendence realm, but he still had enough power to affect the entire killing array and distort the space. As long as he was given a certain amount of time, he could even break this killing array. Deities suppressed Su Yin. The holy city was filled with raging flames. The residents here were roaring uncontrollably. They had already learned about the battle at the front line. God of Warcade had died, and the Western Alliance had suffered a crushing defeat. Now, the Huaxia Alliance had launched an all-out attack, hunting down the escaping cultivators of the Western Alliance. Above the sea, huge waves swept the sky, and bones flew everywhere. The Western Alliance had suffered a crushing defeat. To Su Yin, the Divine Palace was the mastermind, but to the residents of the Western Alliance, Su Yin was also the mastermind behind the Huaxia Alliance. In short, they couldn't wait to see Su Yin be suppressed immediately. Boom! The entire holy city was illuminated by the light from the Divine Palace. It was as if the place had turned into a black ancient castle. The Divine Palace surged with super strong power, and various killing arrays flashed inside, reviving the divine power. Courting death? Let's see who's courting death after I suppress you. The existence in the Divine Palace let out a cruel voice. He knew how powerful and abnormal Su Yin was. In order to deal with Su Yin, he had paid a huge price and turned the Divine Palace into a purgatory just to kill Su Yin. Countless bolts of lightning struck down from the sky. All kinds of black flames also burned in the Divine Palace. The power of the killing array overturned and surged towards Su Yin. Faced with such a situation, Su Yin roared towards the sky. His black hair danced in the wind, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Dong 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 dong. The creature hiding in the darkness laughed sinisterly. But no matter how strong your formation, Tao, is, you can't stop the purgatory space that I spent so much effort to create. Kill. Activate all the killing formations. The aura inside the temple surged violently, and at least a dozen kinds of killing arrays were activated. Murderous aura poured down like an ocean, pressing down on Su Yin. Roar. The Baokai let out a roar and charged towards Su Yin, carrying him on its back as it charged forward. In the process, the two of them had completely recovered. Divine light burst forth in the darkness as they released their strongest power to resist the endless killing power from all directions. Jijia, you guys are really strong, especially this beast. It's so tyrannical that it can be sold at a sky-high price. Amidst the killing, a cold and cruel voice emerged. It was also filled with pride. This Su Yin was, after all, an outstanding and exceptional genius in the universe. Now that they had trapped him in the killing array and suppressed him, just thinking about it made them feel delighted. Wait until this beast deity catches you. I'll beat you into a pig. The Baokai roared angrily. Its battle strength had completely recovered. It raised its claws and shattered the void, shattering the layers of killing array power. But the killing array within the temple was endless and innumerable. In order to resist Su Yin and ensure that nothing went wrong, it had paid a great price. It had even taken out all the heavenly essence stones to ensure that the killing array was operating at its strongest state. A purple gourd shone as Su Yin also brought out the immortal iron staff. The two supreme treasures smashed into the dark space, causing the killing array power to be scattered. But a new source of power still surged in. Was it trying to exhaust them to death? Su Yan's divine eyes were like lightning. He swept through the space and deciphered more and more of the killing array techniques within the temple. He was confident that he could break through all the killing arrays in a short period of time and capture the specter hiding in the darkness. But after attacking for a long time without success, the specter immediately became impatient. More than 10 great killing arrays were ignited. Light poured down like a waterfall, sword radiance overflowed into the heavens, and lightning filled the sky. A world-destroying power smashed down, surging endlessly. Facing this kind of super powerful storm, Su Yin and the Baokai were under great pressure. The Earth into an inch technique was not operating well, so much so that some sword radiance almost hacked at Su Yin. Kill for me, kill. The killing array continued to increase in power. It even ignited and emitted blazing light. A power that was enough to shatter the heavens rushed over. It was as if 10,000 great mountains were arranged here, forming a boundless gale and lightning. Boom! Su Yin roared loudly. He brandished his fist to block, causing heaven and earth to explode and the void to completely collapse. Su Yan's body trembled violently. A strand of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Even someone as powerful as him was injured. But his eyes flashed with a terrifying chill. He shouted angrily, "Let's see how many times you can launch this kind of attack. It's enough to kill you." The ghost in the darkness shouted coldly. He was burning the essence of the killing array. This was a self-destructive method, causing a huge loss to the array's energy. It was equivalent to paying a huge price. The entire temple was boiling. A terrifying vortex was born, enough to crush everything. In this kind of killing array, Su Yin and the bout-sized shadows became a lot blurrier. They were about to be devoured by purgatory. A large number of killing forces even swept down during the process. They wanted to tear Su Yin and the others apart. "Go to hell," the ghost in the darkness said gloomily. He had paid a huge price and ignited all the killing arrays to evolve a destructive space-time. He didn't believe that Su Yin could survive. "You pig, let's see where you can hide." Suddenly, just as the killing forces were about to hit Su Yin's aura suddenly became terrifying. He opened the seal on his battle constitution and released a monstrous golden divine light. He was like a golden god of war erupting. "Break for me." Su Yin let out a loud roar. His whole figure faded away in a blur. This was the awakening of the Fist of Time, releasing a power that could penetrate space and time. It was not obstructed by the world's matter, as if it was traveling through time. The shocking fist aura penetrated the space of the killing arrays and blasted the gate of the temple in an instant. The whole gate trembled violently. Su Yan's fist made a loud noise. This was Su Yan's strongest punch. It was bold and invincible. Wrapped in the power of the Fist of the North Star, it smashed into the gate like a huge star. The gate was torn apart, and miserable screams were transmitted. The black ghost had been hiding in the small space of the gate all this time. He was found by Su Yan, and even the killing arrays were blasted apart by his fist during the process. No! Exclamations were transmitted throughout the holy city, because when the killing arrays collapsed, the whole temple also exploded. At the same time, a shadow flew out from the gate, coughing up blood, and fell heavily on the street. Many residents who were kneeling on the ground and kowtowing to the temple were terrified. The god in their eyes was defeated and even blasted out by Su Yan's fist. Moreover, the supreme temple also exploded. How can this be? The god was defeated. Aren't gods supposed to be invincible and supreme? How can he be defeated? Some people burst into tears. The supreme temple of the Western Alliance had collapsed, and the god was blasted away. It was as if their faith had collapsed. They could not bear it and could not let it go. They felt that they had lost their life's goal. In fact, the god in their eyes was a short and thin old man. The appearance of the god left the Western Alliance in despair. He was different from the great figure they had imagined. This god was a small and thin old man. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood and emitted a shrill cry. Su Yan, I will slaughter you. Hua Hua roared, his face ferocious. He stared at the man and beast that walked out from the shattered lightning. His eyes were filled with a bloodthirsty light. He felt that he was just a hair's breadth away from killing Su Yan, but he had still managed to break through the blockade. So it was you pig. The Baokai leapt forwards. It raised its large hairy claws, wanting to twist Hua Hua's head off. You want to kill me? You think you have what it takes? However, Hua Hua was not afraid. He climbed up and flew high into the sky. Su Yan and the Baokai chased after him. But as they did so, a cold chill gushed out from their hearts. My people, if you don't offer up your lives now, what are you waiting for? Hua Hua's small and thin body exuded a sinister aura. He was like the source of darkness. At the moment of his awakening, beams of black energy shot out from the entire holy city. Every black beam of light was formed from the explosion of a living person, transforming into a black energy substance that soared into the skies. At this moment, the entire holy city was filled with the stench of blood. Tens of thousands of residents had died tragically. There were cries, shouts, curses, and roars of despair. Those who were still alive were terrified. They were scared out of their wits and shivered. The god in their eyes was now asking them to sacrifice their lives. Was he still a god? Was he still the savior of the world? Too many people had died. Rivers of blood flowed through the holy city. The black substance that was born in their bodies began to gather towards the small and thin old man. Su Yan, you pitiful worm, no matter how strong you are still at the great Tao realm. Today, I will let you experience just how strong a god is and how cruel the consequences of insulting a god are. I will let you howl in despair and then sell you to the ancestral hall. Hua Hua fiercely increased his strength. Moreover, the skin on his body cracked open and giant black claws stretched out. They were like black pillars that propped up the ground as he rose up from the ground. Chapter 694. The holy city began to tremble uncontrollably. The solid ground of this huge castle was torn apart, and large cracks spread out. Many buildings collapsed, and some cultivators were buried in the rubble. However, the entire holy city was silent, because all the residents were scared silly. They looked at the temple master they worshipped all day long, this god. They could not believe what they were seeing. Many people were scared out of their wits, shitting and urinating as they frantically ran for their lives. But how far could they run? Along the way, large numbers of cultivators exploded, turning into black energy and returning to the source. This scene made the people of the Western Alliance despair. It turned out that the devil had been sleeping under their feet, worshipped and worshipped by them all this time. And they were just a bunch of pigs and dogs waiting to be slaughtered. Some people recalled Su Yan's words, saying that they were stupid and did not have much time left. At this moment, they were truly in despair, and some even hoped that Su Yan could quickly kill this devil. Roar! The giant black beast roared at the sky, causing the holy city to tremble and sink. This was because this monster's body was too huge. Its body was as big as a mountain range, and its 4 large black claws were as thick and solid as a mountain. When he stood up, his huge back sank into the clouds. His pitch-black body released a monstrous and ominous aura, looking incomparably terrifying. The evil roar shocked the entire Western Alliance, and even some of the Eastern Punitive Expedition experts who had escaped from the sea were frightened by the appearance of this giant beast, trembling in fear. The entire Western Alliance was in an uproar. This was the birth of a great calamity. Their alliance had been poisoned to the bone marrow, and they had been completely enslaved by Hua Hua. Even the black energy they were so proud of was their talisman of doom. What? Someone knelt on the ground and roared. He was a member of the Eastern Punitive Expedition. He had escaped from the sea and was preparing to bring his family to seek refuge. But now, the holy city had been completely destroyed, and the number of casualties was unknown. In short, the holy city was now in ruins, with rivers of blood flowing and mountains of corpses piled up. It was extremely tragic and could be called a living hell. Bastard, you deserve to die. In the eyes of Su Yin and Bao Kai, this wasn't too cruel. Some brutal adventurers were strong enough to enslave a life ancient star and sell it. This was nothing compared to the destruction of a holy city by Hua Hua. However, this was the later progenitor, and Su Yin felt a chill in his heart. If he had not returned back then, the Chinese alliance would have been enslaved. This caused the blood in Su Yan's heart to boil and burn. He stood tall between the heaven and earth as his hair fluttered in the wind. The fury in his heart could only be unleashed with his fists. Kiki, Su Yin, even if you're angry, what can you change? It's not too late to escape now. Hua Hua said coldly. However, after you leave, the entire earth will belong to me. I believe that the Ancestral Hall will pay a high enough price to purchase the entire earth. You bastard! The cultivators of the Western Alliance howled in grief. They were all too familiar with the Ancestral Hall. More than a decade ago, the aliens had invaded the Ancestral Hall. It turned out that the god in their hearts was actually planning to sell them all to the Ancestral Hall. Stupid ants. Hua Hua smiled coldly. This secret technique requires too much blood and food. Of course, I really have to thank you for your offerings. It gave me the power to suppress Su Yin. The naked truth was unbearable for the Western Alliance. In fact, even if Hua Hua didn't use their life force to use this secret technique, the end of these people would still be near. After all, this secret technique consumed their lifespan. Suppress me? Su Yin stared coldly at the giant beast and sneered. You think too highly of yourself. I've already said that even a heavenly god would be crushed, let alone a mere god like you. You arrogant thing, Dai. The giant black beast roared into the sky. The energy within its body was exuberant to the extreme. It could be said that a black ocean was awakening. It raised its head and roared at an astonishing rate. It rushed over, its enormous body crushing the ruins and causing them to explode. The entire region was about to collapse. Hua Hua's secret technique was extremely evil. It had absorbed the origin blood of tens of thousands of creatures and transformed into its current monstrous form. The impact it contained was boundlessly terrifying. The sky shook and heaved as it charged forward. It opened its mouth and spat out a black wave that covered the earth and drowned out the universe. It bombarded Su Yin. Buzz! Su Yin rose from the ground and tore through the darkness like a bolt of golden lightning. His body rapidly enlarged until it was boundlessly terrifying. He was like a giant born from the primal chaos. Using his body as the foundation, he transformed into a giant. However, the giant seemed somewhat small in front of the giant black beast. Facing the black tide that was like a great river, Su Yin roared into the sky and spat out a golden ripple. He rushed forward and collided with the black tide. This was an extremely powerful collision. The aftermath was like the Milky Way descending from the nine heavens. It swept through the desolate lands in all directions and rumbled and trembled. It was unknown how many mountains were blasted apart by the energy storm. What a terrifying battle. War God Su Yin is fully deserving of the title of #1 war god. I really hope War God Su Yin can kill this bastard. My wife and children died miserably in its hands. Our two great alliances should have coexisted peacefully, but because of this bastard, our alliance was destroyed in a single day. Even the holy city collapsed, and our efforts were destroyed. The residents of the Western Alliance roared hysterically. Moreover, they were deeply shaken by war god Su Yan's strength. He was actually able to contend against this terrifying, evil creature. Some people were in pain and repenting for the sins in their hearts. However, it was too late to say anything now. This was because there were still people dying one after another. This giant black beast was constantly absorbing the source of life to strengthen its body. Hua Hua was not worried about exploding because he was once a deity. The successive collisions gave rise to huge energy ripples. It could be said that this was the world's most magnificent fireworks and firecrackers. In short, this battle had just reached its climax. Hua Hua relied on his own energy to continuously display a terrifying suppressive force that swept toward Su Yin. This also caused the sky to be filled with surging black tides. They surged violently and submerged mountain after mountain. This kind of battle caused the Western Alliance's losses to be immeasurable. Over 100 years of effort had been wasted. Cities collapsed one after another. The black tide was about to engulf the entire Western Alliance, causing a devastating blow. How long can you resist? How long can the energy in your body last? Hua Hua raised his head to the sky and laughed. A young supreme being of a generation is being suppressed by me. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Su Yin, hand over your life. Don't make such a stupid struggle. If you dare to escape, I'll slaughter my way into the Huaxia Alliance and destroy it. Your imagination is quite rich. Get the hell over here and accept your death. Su Yan's body soared into the air and charged over in an instant. His footsteps caused a loud, oppressive sound to ring out. He was like a golden, heavenly dragon that crossed the border and headed straight for Hua Hua. Hee, you still dare to attack me? Su Yin, oh Su Yin, you really think you're invincible? Minghua said coldly. A vast black tide surged out of his enormous black body, transforming into a black hurricane that swept forward. This kind of energy was enough to destroy the heavens and earth. Su Yin, come back quickly. Don't fight him head-on. This monster is too *king scary. Xia Zhe and the others had already charged towards the Western Alliance's sea region, but they saw the black beast from afar. It was even bigger than a city and was simply too evil. They were all worried when they saw Su Yin rushing towards Hua Hua. The black hurricane filled the sky, causing the earth to rumble and the mountains to explode continuously. The scene was appalling. The sun and moon lost their luster. What kind of terrifying energy fluctuations were these? They drowned out the light emitted by Su Yan's battle physique and attacked him fiercely. Suppress him, Hua Hua shouted confidently. He wanted to suppress Su Yin and deal with him later. Darkness shrouded the earth, and the energy was like a vast ocean. Everything was drowned out and even sunk. This scene caused the two alliances to scream. Could it be that Su Yin was really going to be suppressed? Look, however, a large number of soldiers shouted, "The god of war is invincible, invincible." They roared with the respect and excitement in their hearts. They shouted hysterically because they saw a blazing figure in the darkness. He was like a god of war that had walked out from the primal chaos. Behind him was an extremely magnificent primal chaos ocean. This was Su Yan's Dharma idol. At the moment of eruption, it was as if a group of supreme existences had returned to their homeland and were emitting a supreme divine might. Su Yan's heart was also shaken. He felt that his Dharma idol was being affected by the earth and was undergoing a transformation. He felt that there were living kings standing in the primal chaos, looking down on the 9 heavens and 10 earths and dominating the universe's reincarnation. Bang! Regardless, the darkness exploded in all directions. This was Su Yan's most powerful state. In the face of absolute power, all forms of energy were illusory. They existed in name only before Su Yan. Kill! He roared. His fists surged into the sky and danced wildly. His moves were grand as he pressed forward. In the process, the primal chaos ocean gave birth to many cosmic stars, primal chaos dragons, and primal chaos suns. Su Yan used all his magical powers. Fist of the Big Dipper, Fist of the Dragon, and Fist of the Sun. 3 super powerful fist techniques were struck out by him at lightning speed. They illuminated the starry sky and collapsed the dark energy that filled the sky. They pierced through all obstacles and overflowed the heavens. His body rippled with invincible power like a torrent that extended from the universe. It was unchangeable and irreversible. He was the only one who reigned supreme. Fist of Time. Everything exploded in front of Su Yan's majestic appearance. Everything that stood in his way dissipated. He waved his fist again. It was as powerful as before and was unstoppable. This fist ruthlessly pierced through the giant beast's body. Then, he leaped over and stretched out his arms, tearing the sky apart with his bare hands. Rip! Under everyone's trembling gaze, Su Yan's aura swallowed rivers and mountains. He had the strength to uproot heaven and earth. He was too powerful. He stood at the peak of his power and looked down on the world. Ingjia reigned supreme among his peers. Chapter 695. Blood rained down from the sky and dyed the sky red. The blood rained down from the sky like a huge waterfall. Blood rained down from the sky like a bloody rain, dyeing the earth red. The smell of blood filled the air. What was power? What was courage? Now Su Yan had perfectly explained it. His tyrannical strength caused people to suffocate and tremble. The entire Western Alliance was deathly silent. They were all shaken by Su Yan's shocking figure until their legs went soft. Some cultivators of the Western Alliance knelt on the ground and trembled. They felt that Su Yan was a demon god, a true god, and the guardian of the earth. He was so terrifying that they respected him from the bottom of their hearts. Invincible God of War. Invincible God of War. Above the ocean, the Huaxiao Alliance's army roared as they charged over. Their hearts were filled with excitement. On this day, Su Yan was even more glorious and prosperous. As spectators, their hearts were filled with emotions. Most importantly, War God Su Yan was the protector of the Huaxiao Alliance. Tang Zipping had mixed feelings. The Tang family was not doing well these days. Now, with Su Yan's prestige, he felt that the Tang family was really finished. Even if Su Yan did not target the Tang family, no one would dare to cooperate with them. This is what it means to be strong. God of War Su Yan is worthy of being the #1 God of War in the Huaxiao Alliance. No, he should be the #1 God of War in the entire earth. Hyunjia clenched his fists tightly. How could he not be excited and shocked in his heart? Originally, he thought that Su Yan was just SOSO. However, Su Yan's combat strength had overturned his thinking and his pursuit of power. The whole world was in an uproar. This battle was enough to be recorded in history. That demon god stood between heaven and earth, bathed in blood, looking down on the vast earth. He was extremely powerful. Why not wait a little longer? Lei Lao muttered. A trace of ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. During this period of time, the Western Alliance had been aggressive. Although it was because of Hua Hua, Elder Lei had the determination to destroy the Western Alliance and complete the unification of Earth. If Su Yin had taken his time and made his move earlier, the entire Western Alliance would have been wiped out. If we wait any longer, this monster will become even more perverted. When Bao Kai heard this, he said, "At that time, the power of the entire Western Alliance will be gathered in his body. He is a god, so he won't take the risk of exploding. Once that day comes, it will be difficult to kill him." So that's how it is. Lei Lao could not help but shiver. It was hard to imagine just how abnormal Hua Hua was at that time. There's one more thing. The Western Alliance's time is up, Bao Kai said coldly. All the members of the Western Alliance had absorbed the dark matter. Originally, they thought that it was a gift from the gods. But now, it seemed to be a curse. In less than a year or two, their lifespan would reach its limit. With a mournful howl, a miserable figure crawled out from the body of the monster that Su Yin had torn apart. It was Hua Hua. He was still alive and hadn't died, but after using this secret technique, he was so weak that he couldn't even crawl up. When he saw Su Yin standing tall between heaven and earth, Hua Hua's heart trembled. He wanted to crawl up and escape, but he was too weak right now. He couldn't get up at all. Hua Hua screamed miserably. He had been defeated too miserably. He even recalled a saying from the godly mountain range. It was better to provoke a powerful race in the universe than to provoke Madman Su. You're a madman. He roared and slammed his bloody palm on the ground. His heart was filled with regret. Why did he have to provoke this madman? Why did he have to provoke him? Su Yan's eyes flashed with coldness as he walked towards Hua Hua. He wanted to steal Hua Hua's memories and find out if there were any members of the Dark Mercenary Group still alive. Any factors that could threaten Earth must be eradicated. Su Yin, do you dare to fight with me in the Outer Realms? Hua Hua's heart still held on to a glimmer of hope. He said incomparably crazily, I refuse to accept this. Earth is the territory of your race. I refuse to accept this. Pa! Su Yin raised his palm and struck forward, breaking Hua Hua's bones. Hua Hua's appearance was as miserable as it could be. Blood flowed from his mouth and nose. He was even weaker now. He even wanted to awaken the power of the gods in his body. Unfortunately, he was suppressed. Even if it was a god, Su Yin would still kill him without hesitation. If Hua Hua knew that Su Yin had even killed a heavenly god in the Big Dipper starfield, he wouldn't dare to provoke him and would run as far away as possible. I refuse to accept this. He roared in anger. He wanted to bring out the black dragon spear and pierce Su Yan's head. However, Su Yan's foot stomped on his chest, causing Hua Hua to roar in anger. You can't kill my Su Yin. If you have the ability, then let's go to the Outer Realms and fight. Show me your true strength. Kacha! Su Yan's foot stomped down, causing Hua's chest to crack. His heart was about to collapse. Interesting. As Su Yan's foot was about to crush Hua's mortal body, a trace of surprise flashed in Su Yan's eyes. This was because he could see an ancient and terrifying aura emanating from Hua's body. It was as if a divine king was hibernating within his body. Divine King Battle Armor. Then Bao Cai's face paled. He excitedly rushed over, grinning as he said, The Black Dragon Spear is yours, and the Divine King Battle Armor is mine. Hua's body was rapidly covered in a simple black battle armor. This battle armor was densely covered with all sorts of profound marks of the great Tao of heaven left behind by the Divine King. It was as if black dragons were swimming around the battle armor. The entire battle armor was filled with a faintly discernible prehistoric aura, causing one's soul to tremble. This was Su Yan's first time encountering such a supreme treasure. This was the Divine King Battle Armor, a battle armor that could resist the strength of a heavenly god. Even the Divine King wouldn't be able to tear apart this battle armor in a short period of time. All sorts of divine weapons were among the most expensive materials for battle armors. They also required a great deal of effort to forge. Moreover, this battle armor refined by the Divine King was stained with the Divine King's aura. This meant that this was a battle armor worn by the Divine King. This item was far too precious. Su Yin didn't think that Hua would have such a battle armor. Now that he was wearing this battle armor, His aura was terrifying and fierce. He bitterly said, "You can't kill me. You can't kill me." Hua Hua's heart was filled with anger. If he had led Su Yin into the outer realm, then with the Divine King battle armor and the Divine King's weapon, it would have been impossible for him to suffer such a crushing defeat. But now it was all over. Bao Kai summoned the banners of demons, preparing to beat Hua Hua to death. Is that so? However, Su Yan's eyes flashed with a cold light. He picked up the black dragon spear from the ground. With the black dragon spear in hand, Su Yin could feel the berserk energy contained within it. Moreover, there was the aura of a true dragon spreading out from it. Without a doubt, this black dragon spear had been forged with the bones of a true dragon. Its value was far too astonishing. It absolutely surpassed the strength of many divine king weapons. This dragon spear was truly formidable. Hua Hua's face twisted and he nearly spat out a mouthful of blood. He had gone mad with anger. The defensive capabilities of the Divine King battle armor were truly heaven-defying. But the destructive power of the Black Dragon Spear wasn't weak either. If the Black Dragon Spear were to attack the Divine King battle armor, then even Hua Hua would die. Even if I threw you into the outer realm and gave you a Supreme Elder's weapon, would you be able to lift it? You dare to provoke my buried realm clan? You must be tired of living. Su Yin angrily rebuked. Even if Su Yin didn't have the Black Dragon Spear, it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill Hua Hua. But Su Yin didn't want to kill him right now. This fellow even had the Divine King battle armor. Could it be that he had killed a Divine King? Or was this person's identity not just a member of the Dark Mercenary Group? Su Yin fiercely brandished the Black Dragon Spear. The spear had pressed against the Divine King battle armor, covering Hua Hua's body. The destructive power gushed out from the spearhead. Even with the Divine King battle armor separating them, Hua Hua still felt a deep sense of despair. Could it be that he would die at the hands of his own weapon? He was unwilling at all. He was only a Divine King, but he wielded the Divine King battle armor and the Divine King battle armor. In the future, endless glory and wealth awaited him. How could he be willing to die like this? There was even so much wealth on earth. As long as he killed Su Yin, all of it would be at his fingertips. Go to hell. If you don't give me a way out, then all of you will be buried with me. Hua Hua's pupils flashed with a mournful light. It was as if he was ready to die together with everyone else, his eyes filled with hatred and malevolence. This gaze caused Su Yan's heart to involuntarily turn cold. Could it be that this guy had a method even stronger than the Divine King battle armor to protect himself? For a Divine King to possess such a foundation, Su Yin seriously suspected that Hua Hua was the descendant of a supreme being. Or perhaps he had obtained the inheritance of the Divine King. Boom! In this world filled with the stench of blood, a pressure that caused one's spirit to tremble suddenly emerged. It swept out, causing the legs of the surrounding crowd to go soft. A large number of them fell to the ground, all of them crawling and trembling. It was as if a hidden, mysterious space in this world had opened, filling the air with an aura that caused all living beings in the universe to submit to it. Even with the suppression of Earth, this supreme divine might still cause people to feel fear and unease. Even experts at the peak of the Law Phase realm began to tremble uncontrollably. One could imagine how strong this deterrent force was. That is, Bao Kai and Su Yin both turned pale when they saw Hua Hua throw out a crystal coffin. Inside the crystal coffin lay a pale-faced, beardless old man in a black robe. His entire body involuntarily emitted an aura that caused the hearts of all living beings to tremble. This was the Divine King. Lying in the coffin, he automatically emitted a terrifying pressure. He seemed to have fallen, but the aura he emitted was without a doubt that this was the Divine King. Even his corpse contained an incomparably violent energy. He's alive. Bao Kai was shocked because the eyes of the black-robed old man lying quietly in the crystal coffin suddenly opened. It was a pair of blood-red pupils. They were demonic and terrifying, like the eyes of evil that opened in hell. At the same time, the power of a divine king emanated from his body. It was a wave that was enough to shatter a vast region. Even though Earth was suppressing it, there was still a heavy sense of oppression. Su Yan's breathing became heavy, and his physical body was about to disintegrate. Chapter 696. The Divine King's strength was awakening, and a pressure capable of destroying the world surged out. The aura of the Divine King contained within it caused countless life forms to tremble in fear. Many even knelt on the ground, trembling in fear. The godly king's realm was too high. In front of the godly king, Transcendence realm cultivators couldn't even be considered ants. It was the same even for great Tao realm cultivators. They weren't on the same level at all. The godly king who was sleeping in the crystal coffin suddenly opened his eyes. The sky turned blood red, and the sun and moon lost their luster. A terrifying aura of death spread out, blotting out the heavens and covering the earth, as if it wanted to destroy the entire earth. Su Yin and Tai Baokai, who were closest to the Divine King, trembled. The Divine King was right in front of them, and just his aura alone was enough to cause them to feel fear. But at the same time, they let out a long cry. They had both been attacked by the Divine King before, and this scene wasn't enough to frighten them. Bring out the banners of demons. Su Yan's voice had just exploded when Tai Baokai had already brought out the banners of demons. An ancient banner flashed with a peerless aura, sealing the sky. It descended from the sky, covering thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. This was like the demonic space evolved from the banners of demons. The moment it erupted, it sealed off the crystal coffin, isolating it from all energy and matter that could disturb the Divine King's corpse. The Divine King was lying in the crystal coffin. Su Yin felt this was impossible. He felt that the Divine King was already dead, and that Hua Hua had used a special method to draw out the energy within the Divine King's body. They were very decisive and took the lead in sealing the crystal coffin. At the same time, Su Yin fiercely brandished the black dragon spear, thrusting it towards Hua Hua. No! Hua Hua was in despair. Su Yin and the others weren't frightened at all. They didn't even run away. Instead, they had decisively sealed the crystal coffin. He couldn't feel the existence of the Divine King's corpse. This meant that the banners of demons were too abnormal. As Su Yan's black dragon spear was about to pierce Hua Hua, he heard her voice of despair. Su Yan let out a sigh of relief, but at the same time, his eyes flashed with a ruthless light. Su Yan held the black dragon spear and tapped it with the back of the spear. This was because he was worried that the tip of the spear would cut through the Divine King's armor and leave this supreme treasure in a damaged state. Bang, bang, bang. Su Yin ruthlessly smashed down with the black dragon spear, each strike more ferocious than the last. The vibrations from a spear alone were enough to cause Hua Hua unbearable pain. Her body began to crack, and her entire body was riddled with holes. Hua Hua couldn't bear it any longer. Her primordial spirit left her body and instantly merged with the void. She began to fly towards outer space. She roared with incomparable anger in her heart. Madman Su, I won't forgive you. I won't forgive you. I will report this matter to the Ancestral Hall and the Dark Nether Race. Just as Hua Hua's primordial spirit was about to rush out of Earth, his ferocious eyes were soon filled with panic. This was because his primordial spirit had broken into a golden path. On the other side of the golden path, a shadow walked over. It was as if an ancient Buddha had crossed through time and space from the future. Bastard! Hua Hua was about to explode with anger. It was Su Yin again. He was standing here as if he was waiting for her to arrive. I was afraid that you wouldn't come. Su Yan's primordial spirit sneered. His aura surged as he circulated the Sutra of Future. As soon as he attacked, he used the Fist of Time, causing Hua Hua's primordial spirit to tremble. His soul chi was greatly damaged. The sky was filled with Buddhist light. Su Yan's primordial spirit was like a great Buddha that was sitting cross-legged in the sky. He chanted sutras and merged Taoism and Buddhism into one. His attack was peerless and astonishing. Even the primordial spirits of void refinement and Tao integration stage cultivators would find it extremely difficult to resist his power. Hua Hua was so desperate that he couldn't speak. He had already given everything he had and gave it his all. In the end, his primordial spirit was still suppressed by Su Yan. At the same time, the Tai Baokai quickly used the banners of demons to seal the crystal coffin. It was overjoyed that it had obtained a complete corpse of the Divine King for no reason. The value of this corpse was not inferior to the Divine King's battle suit. Every part of it was a treasure trove. The devil is dead. The cultivators of the Western Alliance who were watching the battle seemed to have been drained of their strength. They all fell to the ground, their backs drenched in cold sweat. The entire Western Alliance was in ruins. 70 to 80% of the buildings had collapsed. The scene was truly tragic. More importantly, none of the residents of the Holy City had escaped. This meant that all the nobles of the Western Alliance had died in this battle. Kill. However, the troops that had rushed out of the sea had still landed. Their iron-blooded killing intent swept across the entire Western Alliance. Apart from a few who were stubbornly resisting and killed on the spot, the rest either surrendered or fled. In short, the Western Alliance had been completely defeated. The painstaking efforts of the past 100 years had been completely destroyed. The Vajra battle god led the troops and killed their way into the major cities. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a blood for blood. They carried away a huge amount of resources and secret treasures and transported them all back to the Huaxia Alliance. They had no mercy or mercy. The Alliance fought a bloody battle to the death. If not for Su Yan's return, the Huaxia Alliance would have suffered the same fate as the Western Alliance. At this moment, no one would be lenient. How far is the Huaxia Alliance from stepping into the starry skies? Xiaze stood on the ruins and sighed. He had experienced too many things during this time, but they were all related to the powerhouses of the outer realms. According to the Tai Baokai, although the status of the gods in the universe was very high, they were not at the level of dominating the starfield. There were many gods in the universe. Every powerhouse in the universe had a god, and even the Divine King was overseeing them. Lei Lao and the others felt that Earth's path had just begun. They might charge further in the future, but they might also encounter more difficulties and setbacks. If our race wants to survive in the universe, grow stronger, and become a powerful race, we must go through the forging of iron and blood. We must go through the cruel struggle of life and death. The powerhouses of the Huaxia Alliance all understood that the civilizations in the outer realms were too powerful. They had to develop cautiously in the future and face the danger of their race being enslaved at all times. After all, it was extremely difficult for a native planet to grow up. Just this time, the Western Alliance had been destroyed because of a god in the Dark Mercenary group. They had used too much black matter, and their lifespan had been greatly reduced. One had to say that it was too tragic. As for Su Yan and Tai Baokai, they had already begun to return to Huaxia University. Baokai had used the banners of demons to seal the crystal coffin. He was really worried that an accident might occur. He had to find out as soon as possible how Hua Hua was able to control the energy within the Divine King's body. If this was a secret technique, its value would be unimaginable. You will suffer retribution. Hua Hua left behind her last words before completely disappearing into thin air. Su Yan extracted the memories from Hua Hua's primordial spirit. It was true that the primordial spirit of a god was extremely difficult to search, but he still expended his soul energy to search for the answers he wanted. The memories extracted at the last minute were somewhat blurry, but Su Yan could still make out the general idea. First of all, the Dark Mercenary group wasn't limited to just a few of them. There were more than 30 of them, and they were even led by the Divine King. There were 3 great heavenly deities, 5 other gods, and the rest were all Tao realm experts. But when they approached the Milky Way galaxy, they encountered a space-time storm. The answer was obvious. The Dark Mercenary group's battleship was destroyed, and batches of experts died in the space-time storm. Hua Hua and the others were very lucky. They were relatively close to the Divine King, and thus survived. However, the Divine King was heavily injured in the space-time storm and was on the verge of death. But they survived and coincidentally encountered War Godxia, Zay's battleship. Adventurers roamed the universe, and it wasn't rare for them to encounter native planets. How powerful was the divine sense of the heavily injured Divine King? He had already discovered the existence of Earth, and he and Hua Hua had directly descended to Earth. Originally, they wanted to control the entire Earth and figure out the secrets of this starry sky. Why was there such a powerful space-time storm? But in the end, Hua Hua made her move at the crucial moment and killed the heavily injured Divine King. This caused Su Yin to be astonished. This Hua Hua was truly bold. She had even succeeded in killing the Divine King. This was the origin of the Divine King's weapon and Divine King's battle armor. Hua Hua died with no regrets. Even the Divine King has killed one. Su Yin was amazed. As for Hua Hua's subsequent actions, Su Yin was bewildered. Their dark mercenary group had taken an adventure in the Chaos Ruins and dug out a relatively strange secret technique. At that time, they had traveled the universe and searched for native planets in order to test this secret technique. Su Yin was alarmed. Through the memories, they could use dark matter to stimulate the human body's potential. In fact, it was just a small secret technique. Then, how powerful was the inheritance they had obtained in the Chaos Ruins? Have you found anything? Bao Kai was constantly paying attention to the banners of demons. She was afraid of the Divine King's unforeseen circumstances before they appeared. Hearing this, Su Yin hesitated for a moment. Then he said in a deep voice, "It's a secret technique. It can activate the Divine King's dead body and bring him back to life." "What did you say?" Bao Kai screamed. Her eyes were wide open as she retorted, "How can there be such an evil secret technique that can control the body of a powerhouse of death? Are you kidding me? If such a secret technique existed, wouldn't they be the strongest race in the universe? By reading the memories, it must be a body that has just died not long ago. There must also be other special reasons. It's impossible to just find a corpse." Su Yin said in a grave tone, "There are also many complicated processes. His memories are a bit vague, and he can't understand the specific process. However, this Hua Hua is too bold. She killed the Divine King and even controlled his body. Fortunately, she didn't succeed. Otherwise, we would have been in real danger." Unbelievable. A secret technique obtained in the Chaos Ruins. It's hard to imagine who created such a miraculous secret technique. Bao Kai was dumbfounded. But when she recalled that they had obtained the water of life in the Death Universe, she wasn't so shocked. The incomplete universe in the Chaos Ruins must contain great opportunities and fortunes. The more I think about it, the more impossible it is. If this secret technique is mastered, it's hard to imagine how amazing it would be. Su Yan's heart was filled with shock. He began to examine Hua Hua's spatial treasure. She had killed the Divine King and obtained the Divine King's inheritance. Su Yan didn't know what to say about the resources in Hua Hua's spatial treasure. He had underestimated the Divine King's inheritance. It was too enormous and inconceivable. Moreover, the Divine King of the Dark Mercenary Group was no less than 7,000 or 8,000 years old. The wealth he had accumulated was unimaginably enormous. "Why are you covering it? Let me see." Bao Kai shouted and poked her head over. "Hand over the treasures you took. Don't think I don't know that there is a storage room in the temple." Su Yin cast a sidelong glance at Bao Kai. Chapter 697. They returned to Huaxia University and counted their gains without stopping. Su Yin reckoned that he might have obtained the wealth that the Dark Mercenary Corps had accumulated for thousands of years. This was a huge fortune. After all, the Dark Mercenary Corps had the Divine King, so their wealth was unimaginable. Su Yin originally thought that he was also loaded to the brim and could also be considered rich in a region. But compared to a Divine King's wealth, it truly paled in comparison and could not be brought to the table. First of all, most of Su Yan's wealth was aimed at those below the immortal state. Of course, many of the resources were relatively rare and precious, and most of them were limited. The Divine King's wealth was astonishing. Basically, only those in the immortal state could use it. If such things were bought at a high price, then the price would be very high. Some of the treasures that the Divine King casually took out were extraordinary. As for the treasures in the storage room that Bao Kai took away, it was far beyond Su Yan's expectations. It was the collection of the Dark Mercenary Corps. There were all kinds of resources, most of which were ores and elixirs. These were all treasures that they had mined in the universe. There was no need to say much about the quantity. Moreover, what made Su Yan flabbergasted was that the amount of Heaven's Essence stones they obtained was at least 600,000 kilograms. This wealth made Su Yan's expression change. This mercenary group was really rich. Haha, we're rich. Bao Cai's eyes lit up. First of all, not to mention the 2 weapons of the Divine King. The Divine King's collection of immortal state weapons were the best of the best. There were 19 divine weapons and more than 30 divine weapons. This wealth was quite considerable. Bao Kai put on the Divine King's battle suit. Its body was full of brilliant colors, like an ancient beast. Its 4 claws carried 4 kinds of divine weapons, and there was a purple gourd hanging around its neck. It was really armed to the teeth. Even the defense of the Divine King's battlesuit was enough to let Bao Kai run unhindered in front of an immortal. The Divine King's wealth is indescribable. I wonder how rich the Almighties are. Su Yan grinned. This batch of resources they had obtained was quite rich. He even counted all kinds of chaos treasures and found that some of them could be used to refine the Little Divine King pellet. Su Yan had been coveting the Little Divine King pill for a long time. Unfortunately, he didn't need the medicinal ingredients now. In fact, the main ingredient was the essence of the divine medicine. He also needed all kinds of rare ingredients to brew the medicinal concoction. The price he would have to pay was unimaginable. However, he had managed to gather more than half of the ingredients over the years, and there was still a lot of hope for him in the future. He was prepared to wait until he became the Star Domain Paragon of Earth and an expert at the peak of the Great Tao Realm before he went to search for the Little Divine King Pill formula. This Divine King is rather unlucky. He doesn't even have a single holy herb. They searched for a long time, but didn't find any sacred medicine. But then they thought about how the Divine King had been killed by Hua Hua. If he had a sacred medicine to prolong his life, he would have used it long ago. Su Yan continued his inspection and finally found what he wanted. This is... Su Yan's eyes suddenly narrowed as he stared at a piece of black paper. It was cold to the touch. The black paper flowed with an indescribable chill, causing Su Yan to feel a piercing pain in his palm. A hint of shock flashed in his eyes. He had only touched it, but he felt a piercing pain. This thing didn't seem to be simple. After all, Su Yan's physical body was extremely strong. This was just a piece of black paper. It was hard to the touch. It was made of a special metal. What's this thing? I can't identify the material. The Bao Kai patrolled for a long time, but it couldn't tell what material it was made of. When it touched it, it realized that the material was extremely cold. It penetrated deep into their bones and wanted to freeze their souls. This is incredible. If Xia Zhe and the others touched it, they'd die immediately. The Bao Kai was astonished. Was this secret art learned from the black paper? Why can't we see any words? Su Yan searched through everything and organized them. In the end, he confirmed that this was it. Let's go out and take a look. Su Yan and the Bao Kai left Huaxi University and flew into the universe. Their combat power was no longer suppressed, and they were at their strongest state. Observing in this state, they still couldn't see the strangeness of the black paper. Su Yan's hands even glowed, and the power in his body surged. His strength was too amazing. He used his power to shake the black paper, but he was surprised to find that he couldn't move it at all. This paper was too hard. Even if it's a divine material, I can bend it. But this black paper is so thin. Could it be a special supreme treasure material? Su Yan had a supreme treasure material on him. It recorded the ancestral phoenix wings, which was the strongest supernatural power in the history of the 9 great powers. It was one of the secret arts of the ancestral phoenix, and it was carried by the supreme Bao Kai. If this black paper was also carried by a supreme treasure material, then it was quite heaven-defying. The Divine King must know how to open it, but we can't obtain the Divine King's memories. The Baokai bared its teeth and said, since it records something that can control the Divine King's corpse, this secret art is truly terrifying and heaven-defying. I'll use my primordial spirit to investigate and see if I can find a way to open it. Su Yan's forehead glowed. His powerful divine sense surged and swept through the black paper. He wanted to find some recorded words, but Su Yan couldn't find any clues even after searching for a long time. This made Su Yan smile wryly. They had tried many methods, but they couldn't open the black paper's secret. Let's try a blood sacrifice. The Baokai suddenly opened its mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood essence onto the black paper. Su Yan was speechless at first, but then his pupils suddenly shrank. This was because he found that the black paper actually absorbed Baotsai's blood. It's working. The Baokai quivered and spat out a few more mouthfuls of blood essence onto the black paper. This black paper had a demonic nature. After absorbing Baotsai's blood essence, the black paper turned dark red and spewed out flames. It looked somewhat horrifying. Even some vague and mysterious characters began to appear on the paper. They were very ancient and mysterious. These characters were special, like the sun, moon, stars, flowers, birds, insects. What kind of characters are these? Su Yan was surprised. He couldn't recognize them, but he felt that these characters were very ancient. Moreover, during the process of appearing, they emitted a very demonic power, like a kind of demon unearthed from the earth. When the characters on the black paper were about to be fully revealed, strands of terrifying airflow emerged and filled the starry sky. It was like the gathering of heavenly punishment, emitting a terrifying source in an instant. Not good. Su Yan and Tai Baotsai's faces changed drastically. This was a pressure that originated from the universe. Before they could escape, the vast universe's power attacked them like lightning. Baokai and Su Yan cried out miserably. They were blasted away in an instant. Their flesh and blood dyed the starry sky red. Tai Baotsai's body was charred black, and there were hideous wounds on his body. This was an attack from a universe that wanted to kill him. Su Yan wasn't any better. His powerful body had been injured, and there was a bloody wound on his back. Blood was flowing out and even went deep into his bones. Heavenly punishment. Heaven and earth won't tolerate it. Su Yan and Baokai were aghast. This was a cosmic shock that almost took their lives. However, the black paper was intact. It was just that it had lost its previous color and became very calm. Moreover, the black paper had suffered the most cosmic shock, but it wasn't damaged in the slightest. Oh my God! Su Yan and Baokai were really shaken. What kind of outrageous matter was this? They had sensed that the universe was targeting them. This was targeting the black paper, and even they had suffered a calamity. The problem was that the strange words on the black paper had alarmed the cosmic shock. This meant that the things recorded on it had attracted the attention of the universe's origin. Inconceivable! Su Yan roared excitedly. This secret technique is too terrifying. The universe can't tolerate it and wants to obliterate it completely. If the paper wasn't hard enough, it definitely wouldn't have been able to withstand the universe's destruction. Just the material of the black paper was a heaven-defying item. It was difficult to imagine its value. Moreover, the most important thing was the contents recorded. It was obvious that the universe's shock was targeting it. This meant that the contents recorded went against the universe, which was equivalent to going against the universe's laws and order. The level involved in this was something that even almighties could not explain clearly. The universe had its own rules and order. The heavenly punishment that Su Yan had encountered in the past was due to him being killed by the rules of the universe. Hence, it was extremely dangerous. Now, the mere manifestation of the contents recorded on the black paper had encountered this kind of targeting. This made Su Yan cry out in disbelief. They had really discovered something extraordinary this time. Does this record contain the profound meaning of resurrection? The universe won't allow these laws to appear. Baotsai's words made Su Yan mutter, Could it be that one can bring the dead back to life by mastering some kind of law and order? Just one reincarnation is enough? For this kind of problem, even if the strongest in history were to be called out, it would still be difficult to answer Su Yan's question. In any case, it was as if they had obtained a treasure. Su Yan and Bao Kai returned to Earth. They had to first figure out what kind of words they were communicating with. There is only one kind of universal language existing in the universe. There must be other words or languages in ancient history. He recalled his encounter on the Great Tao Immortal Mountain. Let's go to the Big Dipper star field. Maybe the Divine King can decipher it. Bao Kai said, since the Divine King of the Dark Mercenary Corps had deciphered this mysterious language, then it was very possible for the Divine King to decipher it with his knowledge. Su Yan shook his head slightly. It's too far away. We can't go back just because we want to. Moreover, I'm worried that we won't be able to make use of the Divine King's corpse in the crystal coffin for too long. If they could really grasp the power of the Divine King through secret techniques, then it would be equivalent to having another guardian deity for Earth. This was too important. They had to speed up deciphering the secrets of the language, or even the complete corpse of the Divine King. Even if they went bankrupt to hire someone to kill the Divine King, they wouldn't be able to do it. Why don't we ask the scholars of the Huaxia Alliance who study languages? After all, Earth is a post-progenitor. Maybe some of the languages have been studied and produced results. Bao Kai said. Su Yan felt that this possibility wasn't small. Studying a language required a lot of time. Chapter 698. Victory. The Western Alliance suffered a crushing defeat. The god was killed by War God Su Yan. War God Su Yan is now even scarier than a god. No wonder he is the strongest person in the Huaxia Alliance. No, he should be the strongest person on Earth. The entire Huaxia Alliance was still in shock. This was a big event. Even Xia Zhe and the others who had disappeared for many years came out and participated in this battle. This caused everyone's hearts to surge. After killing the aliens more than 10 years ago, the Huaxia Alliance entered an era of rapid development. More than 10 years later, the Earth would be unified, and all of this was because of Su Yan, the god of war. Now, Su Yan had become the guardian god of the Earth, and his prestige was monstrous. He could even kill gods, and the world felt that there was nothing he couldn't do. Lei Lao and the others returned with a full load. This battle not only showed the might of the Huaxia Alliance, but it also gathered the fighting spirit of the army. They accumulated a lot of rich experience. Even if there was a bigger disaster in the future, they would not be caught off guard. More top experts in the Huaxia Alliance also realized how strong the potential of the Transcendence realm was. They felt that they had to undergo cruel training to dig out more potential. Only then could they go further in the future. The Huaxia Alliance was in a frenzy. Su Yan invited a group of old scholars. They were very old and had been contributing behind the scenes to Huaxia University. Their value was not to be underestimated. They had deciphered many words and scriptures, which were of great help to Huaxia University. Greetings, War God Su Yan. When these old scholars saw Su Yan, they could not help but feel excited. This legendary figure, the guardian of the Huaxia Alliance, was worthy of their respect. Everyone, don't be so polite. Su Yan had already engraved the words in advance. He handed them to them and said, I hope you can help me decipher these words. Haha. Even War God Su Yan did not understand this knowledge. We are just showing off our slight skills in front of an expert. The old scholars were very cautious. Of course, they could not help but feel that their value is higher. They also stared at the words attentively and were eager to solve this problem for Su Yan. These characters are quite special. Someone stroked his beard, frowning, sinking into deep thought. I've never seen words like this before. There are no words like this in the secret areas that the Alliance unearthed. This is the first time I've seen words like this. But these words look familiar. They were debating in the main hall. They had mastered many languages, and in addition to the various languages they had learned over the years, they had mastered many techniques for deciphering languages. Su Yan was looking forward to them being able to decipher it. Has anyone noticed? A white-clothed old man took a deep breath and suddenly said, "This seems to be tadpole writing. Tadpole language." The hall was in an uproar. Some of the elders were suddenly enlightened. No wonder the characters looked familiar. The characters that Su Yin had copied were indeed similar to tadpole characters. Deciphering such hieroglyphics was a huge task. In fact, Su Yin knew that deciphering it was useless. He had to understand the true meaning contained within. Hieroglyphics can only be opened by taking a risk. Su Yin thought to himself, "I can barely withstand the universe's massacre. If I can grasp the content recorded on this black paper, it will be invaluable. Just controlling the Divine King's corpse is a heaven-defying technique." "You still want to try it in the universe?" Bao Kai frowned and said, "Comprehending the scripture will take a long time, and it's too dangerous. It's not worth risking your life." Hearing this, Su Yin said, "I think we could try it on Earth. Earth doesn't have the great path of recovery, and Earth is sealed. I think the universe's massacre won't be able to spread to Earth and sense the existence of the black paper." "This is possible," Bao Kai urged. "Hurry up and try it. You might succeed. If the universe's heavenly punishment can't sense it, it means that Earth is even more terrifying and mysterious." But the hope wasn't high. The universe nurtured billions of creatures, and the planets were also nurtured by the universe. But Su Yin felt that the progenitor would be special in the future, and it was worth a try. Besides, he wouldn't lose anything if he failed. He sent these old scholars away and let them be in charge of deciphering the text. Su Yin left Huaxia University, worried that an accident would destroy the school. "Let's do it here. I hope the heavenly punishment won't appear." He came to the vast sea, took out the black paper, and directly forced his blood essence to spit on the black paper. 3 mouthfuls of blood essence were poured on the black paper. The black paper changed visibly. After absorbing the blood, it turned dark red, and it was filled with energy fluctuations that made one's heart tremble. Suddenly, dense words appeared on the black paper. They were shaped like the universe's myriad things. These hieroglyphs could be recognized through observation. Most importantly, one could comprehend the profound meaning of the words. "No!" Bao Kai ran over excitedly. It successfully presented the words and didn't trigger the universe's heavenly punishment. This dark red paper presented thousands of words. Overall, it didn't give off any special feeling. But when Su Yin penetrated it with his primordial spirit, he felt as if he had entered a vast reincarnation cycle. During the process, Su Yin felt as if he had been locked in a dark red world. This was because the aura of these words was too dark and cold. It was as if a sleeping monster had emerged from underground. Su Yin felt uncomfortable all over. These words were even more difficult to understand. It was as if he had come into contact with a whole new world or a whole new universe environment. He felt as if he didn't know where to start. What secrets do these words contain? How did the Divine King decipher them? Su Yin frowned. He continued to observe and comprehend the profound meaning contained within. But he couldn't comprehend the crux of the matter. It was as if he was drifting in a sea of blood with no end in sight. And this feeling quickly disappeared because the content recorded on the black paper collapsed. He had to use a new method of blood sacrifice to open the words. "I didn't get anything." Bao Cai's mood was somewhat perplexed. It muttered to itself, "Why do I feel that this aura is particularly familiar? It seems to have ended in a very distant era." Its words made Su Yin silent. Bao Cai's origin was now a mystery. How that dead universe came about was now an unknown. Even how the universe died was also an unknown. He took a deep breath. No matter how Bao Cai came about, the blood of the buried realm flowed in its body. Moreover, it had a great connection with the demon realm. The banners of demons were controlled by Bao Cai. In the future, if Bao Cai was lucky enough, it might become the new master of the demon realm. What secrets are hidden in this paper? Su Yin looked at this item and frowned. After a long time, he said, "I didn't get anything. I think we need a source to unlock the secrets recorded in these words. Only then can we decipher its profound meaning." He began to search for the Divine King's treasures again, trying to find something. Unfortunately, he didn't get anything. The Divine King's vision was different from theirs. What the Divine King could see, Su Yin and the others definitely couldn't. The gap between their realms was too great. He continued to open the black paper's contents with his blood, but just like before, he didn't get anything. It was as if this knowledge was too advanced for them to learn and grasp. Let's not think about it anymore. Let's go back to the college and take a look. Su Yin set off for Huaxia University. He was preparing to go into seclusion in the near future and head to the strongest trial ground to challenge the 5th stage. At the same time, Su Yin wanted to obtain more secrets about the later progenitor from the strongest trial ground. But before going into seclusion, Su Yin was preparing to reform the Huaxia Alliance and even pass down the Great Tao and cultivation methods so that the later progenitor could enter an era of cultivation. After all, they would have to face more difficulties in the future. The descendants of the Burial Realm race were once the strongest race in the universe. He believed that their descendants wouldn't be inferior to any other race and would definitely grow rapidly one day. A few days later, the Huaxia Alliance was in an uproar. Many academies and families were paying close attention to the development of this matter. Have you heard? War God Su Yin has opened a Huaxia training hall. His destination is Huaxia University. War God Su Yin is the teacher and is in charge of teaching all kinds of cultivation methods and divine arts. I've known about it for a long time. I also want to go there to learn. War God Su Yin will teach me personally. It will definitely bring my cultivation to the next level. Not to mention you guys, even your family heads aren't qualified to go to the Huaxia training hall. The students there are all the strongest cultivators in the Huaxia Alliance. A group of students at the peak of the Transcendence Realm. Xia Zhe and the others are all students in front of War God Su Yin. This matter caused a huge commotion. Su Yin was teaching, but the people he was teaching were all at the peak of the Transcendence Realm. Even those at the 8th sky of the Transcendence Realm weren't qualified to participate. The number of people in the Huaxia Alliance who could cultivate to this level could be counted on one hand. Haha, I know more about it. Gu Xinghuai was very proud of himself. He went to Huaxia University and even saw War God Su Yin. He looked exactly the same as Su Yin at the entrance of the school. Gu Xinghuai was shocked. He didn't expect that person to be Su Yin. A group of students surrounded him as they chattered incessantly. They wanted to know more about War God Su Yin, and they also wanted to know if the Huaxia Training Hall would be open to the public and recruit more students. Gu Xinghuai brought a lot of news. Of course, not only that, but the Huaxia Training Hall will also become the core training hall of the Huaxia Alliance in the future. As long as you have the talent and are willing to work hard, you can go there to further your studies. Gu Xinghuai said excitedly. There's even a possibility that you can receive guidance from War God Su Yin. Wow, the whole place was in an uproar. This matter made them incomparably excited. The reason why Su Yin had taught Elder Lei and the others first was because they were strong enough and their comprehension speed would be very fast. Moreover, Su Yin did not have more time to guide them. Therefore, he could only teach them cultivation experience first, and let Xia Zhe and the others be responsible for training the disciples with great potential. As the name implied, he would spend a lot of money to nurture a group of young experts in the future. At the same time, the fatty activated the battleship and led a group of elite soldiers to the treasure trove Su Yin found in the solar system. This was the best preparation for the future development of Earth. While Su Yin was teaching, he was also studying the secret of the black paper day and night. Xia Zhe and the others cultivate different heavenly arts. The energy they absorb and the materials they convert are also different. Then, can the profound meaning of the words recorded on the black paper be unearthed through the Origin Sutra? Su Yan's eyes lit up. He had forgotten about the effects of the Origin Sutra. The Origin Sutra, which was known as the best sutra in the world, might really work. When Su Yin opened the black paper again and chanted the Origin Sutra in his body, Su Yin found that the dark red world changed. It was as if the broken reincarnation cycle was being reformed. Under the guidance of the Origin Sutra, it emitted light and heat transmitting ancient and mysterious syllables. Success. Chapter 699. Su Yan's expression fluctuated as he listened to the sacrificial sounds. The layout of the Enyang Road was too grand. He had only touched the tip of the iceberg, but it was enough to suffocate Su Yan. Although the Enyang Road hid a great fortune, he would definitely reap some benefits if he continued to wait. However, Su Yan really didn't want to go there again. After all, he had been extremely lucky to come out alive that time. Of course, Su Yan would never forget his gains in the Enyang Road. As for the mysterious sacrificial sounds, they should be the key to opening the Enyang Road. However, Su Yan heard them again. They originated from the black paper. Could it be that the black paper is related to the Enyang Road and the mysterious faction behind it? Su Yan frowned and thought, if that was the case, then what kind of existence was this mysterious faction? The content recorded on the black paper was a heaven-defying item. Once it appeared, it would attract the heavenly punishment of the universe. It's unimaginable. There are too many secrets. It's best not to come into contact with this mysterious faction if possible. I'm afraid even the Divine King wouldn't want to face it. Su Yan's heart was heavy. He felt that the black paper was related to a great deal. Now that he had used the Initiation Sutra to unlock the scripture's mysteries, Su Yan also wanted to understand what kind of scripture it was. During the process of observation, the sacrificial sounds resounded. They came from the profound and ancient scripture. They were like primitive words that recorded shocking mysteries. The scripture manifested and even combined. This was guided by the Initiation Sutra. It pushed the mysterious codes together and evolved into a reincarnation tunnel. It was filled with an ancient and sinister aura. Su Yan listened to the Tao sounds and used the Initiation Sutra to decipher it. During the process, Su Yan faintly discovered that during the process of learning, he felt an abnormally terrifying aura pressing down on him and tearing him apart. Without a doubt, this was a pressure that originated from the universe. It was extremely terrifying. However, this universe's power couldn't lock onto Su Yan. Earth was like a planet that didn't exist in this universe. This was equivalent to helping Su Yan avoid the calamity of reading the forbidden chapter. He didn't dare believe that the universe's heavenly punishment would increase during the reading process. Then could the Divine King withstand it? Or could it be that the Divine King of the Dark Mercenary Corps hadn't completely grasped the black paper's taboo content? How is it? You've been sitting for a whole day. Bao Kai was burning with anxiety. He felt that there was a chance. Now that Su Yan had opened his eyes, he hurriedly asked. Su Yan told Tai Bao Kai about his experience, which made Tai Bao Kai flabbergasted. To be involved with a terrifying monster like the Enyang Road, this was extremely terrifying. Could this be a secret technique to open the Enyang Road? Bao Kai was shocked. Su Yan felt that it was impossible. If that was the case, wouldn't they be rich? But Su Yan felt that this wasn't very safe. It meant that they would encounter all kinds of terrifying pursuits in the future. How could that power let them off? This secret technique is bitter and difficult to understand. I need to study it for a while. Su Yan left the cultivation room and gazed at the Huaxia dojo he had established. This dojo had been built a month ago by Su Yan himself. He had smelted all kinds of precious divine materials and even set up some great killing formations. Moreover, Su Yan had affected the layout of heaven and earth here. Once the great Tao was born on earth in the future, the deities wouldn't be able to kill their way in. The Huaxia dojo occupied an area of only 15 kilometers. The essence of heaven and earth was exuberant. Auspicious clouds surged as Tao palaces and halls appeared in the clouds. These buildings had been moved from the great Tao remnant star and were now placed here. Su Yan's cultivation cave was the most exuberant. Moreover, this world was like an ancient pure land. All kinds of precious medicines were planted at the entrance, and there were even 7 quasi-divine medicines. Just these precious medicines alone were glowing on their own. A vast source of life was pouring down. Some quasi-divine medicines were even absorbing the energy of outer space and gathering the power of the stars. They were majestically spreading out in all directions. The medicine field that Su Yin had built would turn into an even more powerful cultivation cave in less than a year. Just the life essence that these quasi-saint medicines gave off was enough for a Dharma plane cultivator to absorb. Furthermore, it was extremely helpful for cultivation. Taking another step forward, Su Yin had opened up a large pond here. There was a school of yin-yang fish inside. When Su Yin left the yin-yang road, he had collected a large amount of yin-yang river water. This was a yin-yang pond. Baokai would drool every time it passed by. It wanted to eat a few. There were more than 500 yin-yang fish inside. If news of this were spread, the peak races would go green with envy. The class begins. Su Yin sat cross-legged on top of a divine mountain, guiding Fan Hong and the others in their cultivation. At the same time, he arranged a lot of cruel training for them. Xia Zhe and the others had great potential in the transcendence realm. They had only cultivated for a little more than 100 years, but each of them had the potential to become a master of the universe in the future. In the blink of an eye, another month or two had passed. Su Yin had been preaching for 3 months, and his days were very comfortable. It had been a long time since he had been so relaxed. During this period of time, Old Lei and the others had changed a lot. They could be described as advancing by leaps and bounds, and their combat strength had multiplied. They were the elites of the elites who had survived the apocalypse on Earth. To be able to survive the apocalypse and even grow to this stage showed how powerful they were now. When they grew up in the future, they would be able to hold their own. During this time, more than 10 powerful beasts had come to the Huaxia training hall. When they saw the Baokai, they respectfully called him Beast God. There was no doubt that the Baokai had wandered around Earth and dug for treasures. He had also taken in many underlings. Seeing that their potential wasn't weak, Su Yin also let them listen to his lectures here. Our alliance is changing day by day. This is too big. How long has it been since the birth of God of War Su Yin? God of War Su Yin's contributions to the Huaxia Alliance are too great. We also have to thank the warriors who transported the treasures in the outer space. They made our base stronger and sturdier. It's said that there are more than a few 100,000 warriors who are exploring the universe. They are led by the Vajra battle god to explore the universe. The national assessment has begun. Huaxia Training Hall, we're here. The training hall that nurtured the best elites in the Huaxia Alliance had already launched a mighty assessment for all cultivators. Su Yin's goal was very simple. If a great Tao was born on Earth, then everyone would benefit. He really hoped to make use of this opportunity to give birth to a group of great Tao realm experts on Earth. This way, the races on Earth would have a certain amount of power and develop more rapidly. He finally felt that he couldn't compare to a group of races. As for the inheritance imprint of the half-step mighty figure, what surprised Su Yin was that 3 people had obtained it. They were Fan Hong, Lei Lao, and the Vajra battle god. The 3 of them belonged to a special group. If they obtained this Tao imprint, their chances of becoming gods in the future were very high. Thank you, God of War Su Yin. Today was the last day of the public lecture. It was considered to have completely ended. Xia Zhe and the others were already preparing to graduate. They would be busy in the next few years. Not only did they have to preach the Tao, but they also had to reform the cultivation system of the various academies. A series of things were waiting for them. Su Yin was completely free. He studied the black paper day and night. He had studied this thing no less than 1,000 times and consumed a large amount of blood essence. Finally, he had some ideas. In the strange world created by the black paper, Su Yin listened to the sounds of worship. The shadows of the primordial ancestors appeared in his eyes. They were kneeling on the ground as if they were worshiping a true god, begging him to bestow some kind of special blessing, a method to develop potential. Su Yin thought, this method was very vicious. After all, it would consume one's lifespan. However, there was no need to say much about the power obtained. It was very tyrannical and perverse. This secret technique could be used to risk one's life at a critical moment. However, Su Yin felt that the things involved were too terrifying. What was the origin of the mysterious sounds of worship that led to the mysterious black substance? The most important thing recorded on the black paper was a method to control the energy in a dead person's body. However, the conditions were very harsh. The person had to have just died and be strong enough. Most importantly, the primordial spirit had to still be present, using special methods and engraving special secret techniques to control the Divine King's corpse. If he could obtain a Divine King as a servant, it would be too perverse. Even Su Yin felt that it was unbelievable. But more importantly, the Divine King's corpse had to have that black substance within it. That black substance seems to be some kind of source. Su Yan's complexion was uncertain, but as he thought about the grandeur and vastness of the Yin-Yang Road, he wasn't surprised. In short, this secret technique was related to a mysterious ritual. Su Yan didn't dare to rashly try to use the Divine King's corpse. The slightest mistake would cause the corpse to be destroyed. He hadn't thoroughly comprehended this secret technique yet. Bao Kai grinned. The more I think about it, the more astonishing it is. I really have no idea who created this secret technique. And that black substance, is it some kind of power that can bring someone back from the dead? Who could say for sure? The deeper Su Yin comprehended, the more he grasped. Su Yin had basically comprehended these words and was prepared to try out this primitive method. Be careful, Bao Kai warned. He took out the banners of demons and took out the sealed crystal coffin. Inside the crystal coffin lay a black-robed man. He was the Divine King of the Dark Mercenary Group. His body was perfectly preserved, and he was releasing supreme divine power. This was the deterrent power of the Divine King. It still existed, and it was emitting from the coffin. Su Yin took a deep breath. Sitting cross-legged beside the crystal coffin, the corners of his mouth suddenly squirmed. Ancient spirit similar. This was the mysterious sacrificial voice. It came from Su Yan's mouth and was transmitted to the crystal coffin. He moved. Bao Kai took out the banners of demons to prevent any accidents. Then, the Divine King's corpse in the coffin shook violently, and black mist rose. Bao Cai's expression changed as if he had seen a corpse change. This was the awakening method. I was afraid that he wouldn't move. It seems that this secret method is really effective. Su Yan's emotions surged. At the same time, he became more careful and cautious. During the process, the Divine King's corpse glowed. All kinds of blood-red words flashed on his body. There was no doubt that these were mysterious tadpole characters. These hieroglyphs flashed on his body. Only by inscribing all the tadpole characters could there be hope of awakening the power of this corpse. Su Yin paid full attention to these tadpole characters. In the end, he found that many of them were missing. He didn't get all of it, only a part of it. Su Yin breathed a sigh of relief. He said, I think Hua Hua didn't know that the Divine King didn't get the complete method. Such a servant of the Divine King is like a decoration. It can't fully activate the energy in his body. Of course, we still have hope.